Alright, you and I are about to watch Jin Seowoon, an ordinary student obsessed with Murim novels and survival games. Fresh out the army, he just wanted to study. But one last match ruined everything. As a top ranker in the game, Royal Ground Seowoon honestly thought he mastered survival better than absolutely anyone else. Until the next morning, when a weird blinding light suddenly flashed right behind him. Boom. Before he can blink, he gets sucked into a new world. And losing here, definitely not just a game. Dumped into this bizarre space, our guy seriously wonders if the universe is punishing him for giving up on studying after literally one single day. He opens his eyes to blinding light and deafening noise. He barely sits up and to his absolute shock, he's surrounded by a massive crowd. Some of these maniacs are literally swinging swords at each other. Looking at their crazy, over-the-top outfits, Seowoon just assumes he stumbled into a massive cosplay convention. But then he realizes he can't understand a single word. Everyone is just shouting in completely different languages. He scrambles to his feet and spots a massive, creepy statue looming in the distance. He starts panicking, wondering where the hell he actually ended up. Now you and I need to pay close attention here. A system window pops up detecting 100 players while a robotic voice echoes in his head. Suddenly, that giant statue's eyes start glowing blindingly bright, and a notification tells Seowoon that the system is fully initializing. Seconds later, another alert pops up. Language synchronization is completely finished. Our main character is still totally lost until it hits him. The chaotic shouting. He can suddenly understand every single word as if they're speaking Korean. He watches an archmage named Escrow aggressively screaming at this insanely ugly dude named Chiron. It turns out these two are just as confused about getting dragged to this crazy place. Apparently, Escrow is a legendary magic user while Chiron literally works for the Demon King. Sick of looking at Chiron's ugly mug, Escrow blasts him with absolute max-level lightning magic. Chiron screams, but when the smoke clears, he is completely fine. Even Chiron is entirely mind-blown. There is no way he just tanked a direct hit like that and survived. Honestly, he didn't even feel a scratch. And just like that, another hilarious screaming match kicks off between them. Escrow furiously points fingers, accusing Chiron of dragging them from their homeworld into this bizarre trap. But Chiron is equally clueless. Watching these fantasy characters argue right in front of him, Seowoon finally accepts this is definitely no dream. Just then, a huge system notification drops. The game is starting and the difficulty level is locked on easy mode. Their mission: survive and make the top 90. The chosen battleground is a massive kingdom capital, but obviously anyone surviving to the top 10 or higher gets the most overpowered rewards. You and I know what this means, right? The tutorial skips safe zone rules trigger, and seeing the map, Seowoon realizes this is a total battle royale. The system calls this twisted deathmatch Cloyd Survival, and starts dropping a quick explanation for all the totally confused newbies who just joined. So get this, the survival game runs for exactly 100 days. Every single day the map shrinks. The system warns them to avoid the restricted zones unless they literally want to be burned to a crisp. The brutal system makes it super clear. This nightmare continues until there is only one final survivor standing. Plus, if the match ends or they get eliminated, they'll simply be sent back to their original world. But here's the catch. Anyone failing to reach the top 90 is permanently banned from participating again. The voice announces they'll soon drop into the map where they can loot essential items to secure their spot in that top 90. Hearing these insane rules, Seowoon honestly can't even believe what is happening. He thinks he's just hallucinating about his favorite video game. Then reality hits, he has zero chance against these overpowered fantasy monsters standing all around him. Still, he refuses to just roll over and die even if this is some twisted nightmare. He's frantically plotting his next move when some random aggressive player suddenly insults him, calling him messy hair. This huge guy carrying a massive sword screams at our guy, demanding to know why he's staring around like an idiot. He demands to know where he's from, but Seowoon just stays completely mute, making the giant absolutely furious. The meathead yells again. But right then, Seowoon spots the system timer. The game is starting in exactly 3 seconds. A smirk crosses his face, pissing the guy off more. Right as the teleport triggers, Seowoon absolutely flips him off. Why? Because with his top-tier gamer brain, he knows he's going to outlive basic trash mobs like this loudmouth. Before the warrior can even swing his sword, the match kicks off and suddenly everyone is free-falling straight out the sky. While falling, Seowoon watches the other players blindly diving toward the hot drop zones loaded with items. Trust me, you're going to want to see this. Knowing hot zones are death traps, our guy lands on the absolute outskirts. Let's dive right into this crazy survival game. He spots a lonely house screaming descend to stick the landing right out front, but the second his feet touch the dirt, massive motion sickness hits him. While he is trying not to puke, a sudden rustling sound nearby makes him panic completely. Vision blurry, he starts sprinting for the house, realizing that the dizziness made him completely miss whoever just landed nearby. Seowoon dashes inside, knowing full well it is game over if he runs into an enemy with 0 weapons on him. He finally slips into a random room, dropping to the floor just to catch his breath. Did that guy he trash-talked in the lobby follow him? Yes, Seowoon is seriously regretting running his mouth earlier. He peeks through the window, sees absolutely nobody, and convinces himself it was just the wind messing with him. Since things seem calm, for now he starts tearing through the house to find some loot. First drop is a massive crossbow. The second he picks it up, he realizes it weighs a ton. Still, he has 0 room to complain. Better than bare fists. Magic game logic kicks in, equipping it instantly downloads the weapon stats into his brain. He loads up and aims. Getting a perfect stance, he brags about being a South Korean army sergeant. This should be a total breeze. He pulls the trigger. The bolt flies, but the massive recoil shockwave completely blasts him backward. He lands flat on his butt. Once the dust clears, he sees the bolt literally blew a hole through the wall. Now pay attention to this part. He realizes this overpowered crossbow could carry him far. Brushing the dirt off, he loots the rest of the rooms, but comes up totally empty on anything else useful. No big deal though. The map is absolutely massive, so grabbing better gear later won't be a problem at all. Moving to the next building, he discovers a weird scroll. Turns out it is a basic small healing scroll. Tearing it instantly heals your wounds. Surprised by the fantasy magic, he decides to hoard more recovery items. Now he is just wishing for a magic inventory bag to carry all this random loot. Right then, a strange book catches his eye. He grabs it, realizing it is a martial arts manual for the Black Star Shi Palms. This specific technique basically lets you shoot hidden weapons straight out of your bare fingers. The system prompts him to learn it. Seowoon accepts, instantly praying the game comes with a decent tutorial mode or something similar. Boom, a blinding flash hits him and the entire book literally absorbs into his chest. Time to test this out. He snatches a random fork and hurls it at the wall. The fork shoots out like a bullet, slamming into the wood and leaving a huge crater. Seowoon smirks, now officially a martial artist. If martial arts manuals are just lying around as ground loot, magic books have to exist too? Honestly, at this point, he is convinced that Cloyd Survival and Royal Ground are basically the exact same game. After turning the place upside down with 0 extra loot, he moves out. Night falls fast, and he desperately needs a hiding spot. He quickly spots a house nearby. But wait, the lights are on inside, making him super suspicious. You and I both know game logic. This means either epic rare loot inside or a camper waiting. Pushing his luck, he decides to breach the building, keeping his guard completely up. He still has no clue how many players drop near his location. But gamers usually fall into 2 categories. They are either a clueless newbie or an absolute sweaty pro. Sweeping the entire first floor reveals absolutely nothing. He starts sweating, wondering if someone is camping out upstairs in the dark. He quickly weighs his options, rely on the new martial arts skills or stick with the heavy crossbow. Creeping up the stairs, Seowoon keeps his crossbow perfectly raised, ready to blast absolutely anything that moves. Reaching the top floor, he is shocked to find 0 threats. Just a single lantern sitting quietly on a table. He spots one closed door. Is this a bait trap? Kicking the door open, he braces for a brutal ambush, but the room is totally empty. Seowoon slumps to his knees, sighing in pure relief after stressing out over nothing. Searching the empty room, he suddenly spots a glowing item called the Ring of Strength. Equipping this beauty gives a flat 20-point boost to raw strength, an absolute must-have for survival. He slips the ring on. Instantly, his entire body feels lighter, like gravity just turned down a notch. And that massive crossbow feels like a toy now. Trust me, you and I are just getting started here. Stick with me here. He pulls up his info window to check those 20 bonus points. Seowoon sighs. Looking at his screen, he realizes something embarrassing. Without that shiny new ring, he just picked up his baseline strength and other stats are total garbage. But hey wait, checking his class section, he actually got ranked as a martial artist. He grins. This is a massive upgrade compared to when he first dropped in. He starts scavenging the floor again. Minutes later, jackpot, he discovers a subspace ring, a magical item that lets the wearer store gear in a pocket dimension. Why does he keep finding rings? Whatever. Reading its description, he realizes this thing works exactly like a video game inventory system. Testing it out, he mutters the command. Instantly, a glowing little portal pops up. He tosses a healing scroll right inside. Oh yeah, this beats hauling a heavy backpack around any day of the week. Seowoon catches himself dreaming. If an item like this existed in the real world, absolutely insane. Honestly, every single thing he has looted today would be completely mind-blowing to bring back home. Suddenly, he remembers to check the server count. People must be dropping like flies, right? He scans the interface and spots the number. Shockingly, only a single person has died since this whole nightmare started. Back to looting. Lucky for him, he uncovers a bunch of hidden weapons perfectly suited for his Black Star Chi palms. With the house completely empty, he considers heading out. Then again, maybe crashing here for the night is the smarter play. Let us be real. He lacks the raw power to fight those lobby monsters in the dark. Laying low and surviving the night feels like the only logical choice. If he just hides and sneaks into the top 90, his reward pool will explode with better loot. Since the darkness keeps other players away, he risks searching one last house before the sun rises. While jogging, a strange realization hits him. He has been moving non-stop, but his stamina is completely full, all thanks to that shiny new ring of strength boosting him. But infinite stamina does not cure hunger. His stomach growls, proving this survival game is painfully close to actual reality right now. Now, pay attention, things go south fast. Moving toward the city for food, a terrifying growl echoes behind him. He dives into cover. Peeking out, his blood runs totally cold. He just stumbled straight into werewolf hunting grounds. Before he can even process the panic, a second beast spawns right beside him. Razor-sharp claws swipe for his neck. Seowoon barely ducks out of the way at the final millisecond. Cold sweat drips down his chin. He thought this was a pure player versus player format. Nobody mentioned wild monsters being here. Major regrets. Why did he not just stay hidden inside sprinting for his life? He spots a rundown cabin up ahead. Pushing his muscles to the absolute limit, he crashes inside. But those wolves are relentless. Trapped indoors, Seowoon desperately tries to figure out his next move. Peeking through a crack in the wood, he sees the giant beast actively sniffing out his scent. The monster has not pinpointed him yet. He realizes he has to strike first before his cover is totally blown. He readies his crossbow and shoots. The bolt cuts the air at insane speed, nailing the werewolf and sending it crashing down hard. One down. Now he frantically brainstorms a way to deal with the second monster outside. You and I know planning never works out. The second wolf violently smashes through his defensive walls. Seowoon leaps backward in a blur, dodging the brutal lunge while aiming his crossbow straight ahead. He fires, but the beast tanks the hit with its arm and charges directly at him. Death literally staring him down. Refusing to die, he plunges his hand into the subspace for a weapon. Point-blank range, he unleashes the hidden dagger surging with the power of Black Star Chi palms. The blade rips right through the beast, shredding its insides and leaving a massive fatal hole. Seowoon puffs out his chest, bragging he would never lose to trash mobs. But honestly, the guy is shaking, terrified he was seconds away from getting completely mauled. Thank God he saved that throwing dagger. Dying on day one to some random dog would have been the ultimate embarrassment ever. Wait a minute. He notices the dead beast actually dropped some loot. He rushes over only to sigh in pure disappointment. It is just water and cheap jerky. Totally infuriating. He could have just hunted for simple food like this himself. Still, he searches the area and stumbles upon some armor. Could this be like a level 3 vest from a battle royale game? He throws it on and wow, we can all agree it is laughably oversized. Typical game logic. Alright, stick with me here. Before he can even take it off, the armor auto-equips. The system chimes in, he just scored an advanced orichalcum breastplate. Thanks to this epic drop, he now gets some solid resistance against fire and wind magic. Seowoon is totally hyped since it boosts more than 2 stats. Pumping with adrenaline, he starts digging around for even more overpowered loot to stash. After searching forever and almost giving up, he randomly stumbles upon a weird-looking cloak. He has absolutely zero idea what it does, but throwing it on reveals a night cloak. Once equipped, if the user just stands dead still in the shadows, they completely melt into the darkness. As long as he stays hidden, magic won't detect him, and every sound he makes gets completely muted. He cracks a huge smile. This ultra-rare find means he can completely ghost past anyone at night. Honestly, it's the ultimate survival item for our guy right now. At first, he was super confused why a random cabin existed in the middle of nowhere. But little did he know this is a premium loot zone. Seowoon just accepts his insane day 2 luck and moves on. He keeps pushing forward suddenly, wondering why the map has been completely dead so far. He thinks it's just a dead drop zone, but watch out. You and I both know that heavy panicked breathing in the distance means big trouble. The running guy mutters some serious regrets, wishing he had used his special item before it was way too late. Seowoon instantly ducks into cover, and thanks to his overpowered cloak, the guy completely misses him. The player keeps crying about how he never expected to run into a mage out here. Seeing him look this pathetic, Seowoon immediately debates sniping him with his crossbow. He hesitates for a second, feeling guilty before snapping back to reality. This is just a game, these people aren't even real. But before he even pulls the trigger, a massive blast of fire tears through the woods. The dude gets instantly roasted to a crisp, vanishing into thin air and leaving behind a loot box. No corpse, just a glowing chest left behind. Yep, that completely confirms the whole video game logic. Seowoon realizes all the guy's gear is totally inside that chest now, but he is still sweating over where that insane attack even came from. He doesn't even get a second to process it before the terrifying attacker spawns right in front of him. Seowoon almost screams his lungs out, literally clamping his hands over his mouth. Thank God for the cloak, because the mage walks right past him. The psycho mage steps right up to loot the chest. Now here is where it hits him. I know you're thinking it too, our boy is absolutely next on the chopping block if this crazy mage decides to rank up. Since it's literally kill or be killed, he figures it's time to strike first. He fires a quick crossbow bolt, but it hilariously bounces right off the dude's magic shield. The mage instantly realizes he is under attack and starts totally freaking out, knowing he just made way too much noise with that fire blast. Seowoon sends another bolt flying pinging off the barrier again. The mage panics hard, he can't see the shooter, and his shield is cracking. Desperate, the mage chucks a massive fireball where he assumes the sniper is absolutely leveling the area. But his aim is complete trash. Out of nowhere, another stealthy bolt zips in from behind. This hit completely shatters the magic barrier. Now fully exposed, the mage wildly spams fireballs into the empty forest. Then bam, a dagger flies out of the shadows, striking him dead center. The mage collapses onto the dirt, completely outplayed. Seowoon breathes a sigh of pure relief and approaches his well-earned loot. He quickly calculates that he needs to farm this box and sprint out of there. Honestly, it's game over if anyone else saw those massive explosions. He aggressively loots the fiery mage's chest, first snatching up a bunch of random junk. He pulls out Escrow's necklace, a pure gold accessory that officially proves the wearer belongs to the elite Escrow's magic society. Seowoon basically labels it useless trash with 0 stats but pockets it anyway just for luck. But then jackpot. A circle stone. This insane item lets the user literally carve a mana core into their heart. Activating it unlocks the magic of that specific circle. That's right, Seowoon can become a crazy, overpowered mage himself. It hits him suddenly. The first guy died because he never got the chance to use this exact game-changing stone. Seowoon offers a quick, half-hearted apology to the dead guy, promising to make himself wildly overpowered instead. He quickly shoves the rest of the chest's contents into his subspace inventory to sort out later when he isn't dodging fireballs. After sneaking around a bit longer, he spots another empty cabin, the absolute perfect place to use his new circle stone. But the system hits him with a massive warning. He'll be completely paralyzed for 3 whole hours while the stone works its magic. Plus some minor pain. Let's see if you and I survive this crazy upgrade. Stick with me, we're jumping right back in. Seowoon pushes through the agony, biting back his screams to avoid attracting players. 3 hours of pure torture later, he cannot believe the system actually called that just a slight pain. He felt like his body was literally breaking apart. Suddenly, mastering martial arts feels like a total breeze compared to learning magic. He pulls up his status window. To his absolute shock, he is rocking 2 classes now, a martial artist and a full-blown mage. Since those previous guys are dead, he decides to quickly double-check the current surviving player count. He expected a drop, but his jaw hits the floor. The total number of survivors has already plummeted down to just 45. Checking the kill log, he spots a terrifying trend. Almost everyone was slaughtered by one specific player, Nam Sagwang. A few hours back, this baby-faced menace was literally tearing through other players like they were made of absolute paper. Nam is basically screaming for attention, wiping out massive groups of players in the most brutally ruthless ways imaginable. By day 3, Seowoon is low-key panicking about the absolutely insane amount of bodies dropping left and right. Now pay attention to this wild logic. He prays he never meets Nam to avoid dying, but he also realizes Nam's massacre might accidentally carry him straight into the top 10. He starts wondering about the promised rewards. What kind of insane loot will the top 10 survivors actually receive? His best guess is epic items and straight cash. But then a crazy thought hits him. What if they can actually take all these god-tier skills and magical items back out into the real world with them? He quickly shakes it off. There is a literal psycho running around. Still, my guy is totally counting his chickens before they even hatch. Checking his body, Seowoon confirms an entirely new wave of power surging through his veins. He wonders if this weird feeling is mana. That is when he remembers the random magic book he scooped up while looting yesterday. It is literally titled The Magic Book of Wind Ball. It lets you shoot condensed wind spheres. The stronger your magic power gets, the more of these deadly balls you can blast out. He learns it instantly, the knowledge slamming right into his brain just like before. Fully absorbed, he dramatically shouts the magic words to summon his very first wind sphere. Total disappointment though. He only manages to summon a few tiny little wind spheres. Feeling let down, he chucks them at a nearby wall. Shockingly, the blast leaves behind some seriously heavy damage. It clicks right then. These things pack way more punch than they look, meaning this spell is definitely going to save his life later. Suddenly, a massive wave of exhaustion hits him completely out of nowhere. He checks his stats and realizes his mana is already totally drained. Later, the map updates as the deadly restricted zone shrinks even further. Seowoon decides to quickly farm for more items, carefully hugging the outer edges of the safe zone boundary. He figures his odds of bumping into enemies are way lower now, especially since more than half the player base is already dead. Still, he has zero choice. He needs to loot fast before that deadly barrier closes in again. We both see that creepy old man watching him, right? Anyway, 12 hours later, Seowoon spots houses totally surrounded by dead players' loot chests. Suddenly, the hairs on his neck stand up. Human presence. Without hesitation, he violently blasts his wind spheres straight in that direction. The impact completely wrecks the spot. Squinting through the dust, he notices fresh blood dripping on the floor. Someone is definitely injured over there. He figures whoever it is must be pretty damn strong to have survived this far into the game. Part of him wants to secure the kill, but he smartly backs off to prioritize his own survival instead. Once Seowoon leaves, a guy steps out from behind the wall, basically thanking his lucky stars. If he hadn't hidden, he would absolutely be dead. The arrogant player steps out completely, boasting that he could have easily wrecked Seowoon if he wasn't currently injured. He rushes over to grab some quick loot before escaping, but before his hand even touches an item, a bolt violently pierces right through his skull. He instantly faceplants into the dirt, dead, leaving the chest untouched. Surprise, the deadly sniper is actually Seowoon, who had perfectly camouflaged himself nearby, patiently waiting for the rat to step outside. Classic bait and switch, he is quietly celebrating his own genius when that mysterious white-haired old man suddenly appears right behind him, praising his skills. Seowoon completely panics, utterly terrified that he actually let his guard down. But the old guy tells him to relax. He merely wants to ask our boy a few simple questions. Sweating bullets, Seowoon demands to know who the hell he is. The old man smirks. Would giving his name even matter? After all, every single player here got dragged in from completely different worlds. Seowoon just chuckles nervously. And trust me, you and I already know this mysterious old grandpa is on a completely different level. Let us dive in. You and I watch the old guy ask Seowoon if he has played this before, while Seowoon acts totally clueless. But the old man just smirks, saying he has been creeping on him for a while, and noticed how ridiculously fast he adapted. So he is dead set on the fact that Seowoon already knows this entire situation is totally fake. That makes Seowoon sweat bullets. Wait, this super strong old dude was watching him this whole time and he did not even notice. Seowoon finally admits it is his first time here, but he mentions playing something exactly like this back in his own home world. Now the old man is hooked. He leans in and asks if that homeworld game is exactly like the crazy mess they are in. Just by looking at Seowoon and his weird clothes, the old master already knew they definitely popped out of two totally different worlds. Right then, the sky starts getting dark, and Seowoon casually points out that they have already hit day 3 in this place. The old man points up, asking if the moon back home is this ridiculously huge. Seowoon just shakes his head, making it clear that the game world moon is way bigger than normal. The master then tells Seowoon to spill the details about that survival game from his world. But Seowoon looks around, warning him that talking out in the open is basically begging for an ambush. Realizing they are in for a seriously long chat, the old man decides they need to find a better spot. Getting defensive, Seowoon snaps back, asking how he is supposed to trust that he will not just get murdered right here. Now watch closely. The old man just grabs him, warning him to stay completely silent unless he wants to attract deadly monsters. Before Seowoon can even process it, the master leaps into the sky, dragging him along. Seowoon grits his teeth, trying his absolute hardest not to scream. In the blink of an eye, Seowoon is dropped onto the very top of a massive tree, totally safe from the ground level. The old man balances perfectly on a branch like a true master, while Seowoon is literally hugging the trunk for dear life. Catching his breath, Seowoon explains he comes from a highly advanced world. The master nods, figuring that is why he adapted so fast here. But Seowoon still wonders just how long was this guy watching him. Without missing a beat, the master reveals he has been watching since the very beginning. He originally planned to just chill on the mountain for 100 days, but Seowoon and his weird actions completely grabbed his attention instead. He says he only approached him because he was super curious about why they got dragged into this game, promising Seowoon he can drop his guard because he is absolutely not here to hurt him. Seowoon sighs and admits he is completely clueless about why they got summoned to this crazy place. But the old master quickly reminds him about that similar game he bragged about back home. Seowoon explains the massive difference back there: people just play for fun and nobody actually dies. You and I are probably wondering the same thing. Who took them? Seowoon tells the master he has zero clue which supernatural beings abducted them. Still, Seowoon is pretty convinced that this twisted game could be a huge opportunity for someone out there, making the old man really curious. Seowoon reminds him that since players do not die for real here, anyone defeated will just get a rank and some sweet rewards based on it. Seowoon heavily suspects that players will actually get to keep whatever they earn inside here. That means any crazy skills or martial arts they learn will go back with them. He does not have solid proof yet, but Seowoon points out the old man probably does not care. But for normal people, going through absolute hell in life, this game is literally a golden ticket to completely turn things around. The master raises an eyebrow, asking Seowoon why he thinks his own life is without struggles. Seowoon points out the obvious: he looks like an elite martial arts master, probably ruling over an entire sect back in his world. He says that is nothing compared to a total nobody like himself back in his own world, which is exactly why this whole crazy ordeal is a massive second chance for people struggling. The old man bursts into loud laughter, telling Seowoon that he definitely says some incredibly interesting stuff. Panicking a bit, Seowoon instantly begs him to keep his voice down before monsters hear. The master then asks why he was just waving his hands around in the air earlier. Suddenly, Seowoon realizes the old guy literally has no idea how to open his game map. So Seowoon sits there dumping all the best gaming tips and system tricks on him, and just like that morning rolls around super fast. The master safely drops them back down to the ground, apologizing for keeping him up, but Seowoon waves it off completely. Because deep down, Seowoon knows that sticking close to this overpowered old man is his best move. It basically guarantees he will stay alive a lot longer. The old guy then asks if there is any possible way he can repay Seowoon for dropping so much valuable game knowledge on him. Without missing a beat, Seowoon asks to learn his martial arts. He wants to survive this crazy game until the very end, and he absolutely needs this legendary master's help to pull it off. So what do you and I take from this? The master laughs, agreeing to train him but warning him to prepare for absolute hell. Alright, stick with me here. Seowoon asks what that actually means, and the old guy straight up says death, so our boy has a huge choice to make. He warns Seowoon that taking a shortcut to ultimate power always comes with a seriously massive price tag. Then he asks, are you really ready for this? But Seowoon totally kills the dramatic vibe, casually pointing out they literally cannot die in this game world. The old master just sighs and agrees. Since death isn't a problem anymore, the old guy realizes his crazy forbidden training method might actually work here. Seowoon immediately jumps on this, asking if it will make him overpowered. The master admits it is definitely worth a shot. Hyped up Seowoon asks what the first step is. The old man says they need to check his inner energy levels first. He touches his head to scan his core, and to his absolute disappointment, Seowoon's energy reserves are basically non-existent, just pitiful. He brutally roasts him, saying even his pet dog has more chi than this, leaving Seowoon completely speechless. Seowoon quickly defends himself, reminding the master that martial arts and magic energy do not even exist back in his original world. Still totally baffled by this zero-energy logic, the old man just tells him to sit down in the lotus position for now. Now, pay attention, here is where it gets wild. The master warns that the pain will be so bad he will actually wish for death. Worse, he won't even be able to move a muscle. Terrified Seowoon asks what to do. The master's instructions are brutally simple, just endure the absolute agony. Because if he passes out from the pain, it is game over. The second the process begins, Seowoon's 5 senses absolutely explode right off the charts. He can suddenly hear and feel everything around him. It feels completely normal until that raw internal energy starts rising. He shrieks in pure agony, screaming that he is dying. It literally feels like his life force is tearing straight out of his flesh. His eyes roll back, going totally dark. After what feels like forever, the old master finally says the worst is over. Seowoon is sweating pale as a ghost, but the old man is impressed, surviving that torture means his physical body is actually pretty solid. He explains he just forcibly rewired the chi flow inside him. From now on, his body operates on a completely different level. Exhausted Seowoon asks what the next step is. The master just smirks, reminding him that he is the one who asked for absolute power. To make that happen, he literally shifted Seowoon's soul slightly, creating a brand new respiratory gate right inside that empty space. He breaks it down. Normal people absorb natural energy just by breathing in and out. But Seowoon, he now has a secret second gate, letting him absorb a totally different kind of raw energy. Confused, Seowoon asks what makes this special. The master explains that humans are made of body, mind, and soul, and life energy holds those 3 together. He asks what happens to that energy when someone dies. Seowoon guesses it just vanishes into thin air. We both probably thought the exact same thing, but nope, it scatters instead of just vanishing. Eventually, that scattered life force gets absorbed back into nature, keeping the great circle of life moving perfectly. But some dark cultivators think that natural cycle is a massive waste. So, they literally murder people just to steal their fading energy. Stealing life force makes their bodies super unstable though. Eventually, their yin and yang balance shatters, completely destroying their martial arts core, or just straight up killing them. Here's the catch. The forbidden mind technique he just installed allows Seowoon to absorb that dead life chi safely, instantly boosting his power. Seowoon completely panics, asking if this cursed trick will kill him too. But the master calms him down. Seowoon is a special case. Those dark artists mangled their blood vessels, but the old man safely used Seowoon's soul instead. Because his physical body had 0 chi to begin with, it was the perfect blank canvas. The master just slightly adjusted his veins so he can absorb all that stolen energy flawlessly. He then asks if Seowoon gets why he handed over an art strictly forbidden back in the martial world of Jungwon. Seowoon smirks. It's obviously because of this game's brutal setting. The old man praises his sharp instincts. Spot on. The master reveals he could literally sense lingering chi around dead bodies here, which means the one true way to level up this dark technique, mass murder. No shortcuts. But honestly, that is zero problem here. To survive this twisted game, he has to eliminate everyone anyway. And trust me, you and I are gonna love seeing how overpowered he gets in 100 days. With the lesson over, the old man decides it is time to bounce casually, hoping they might cross paths again in the future. Before he can vanish, Seowoon frantically asks the legendary master to at least drop his name. The man smiles, Jang Do Chan. Seowoon bows deeply, swearing he will never forget this massive favor. Do Chan's final advice: breathe deep. By pulling energy into his core dantian, he will slowly but surely turn into an absolute monster. Then he simply vanishes. Alright, stick with me here. We're jumping right back into the survival madness. The old man actually manages to pull up the map and promises they will cross paths again. Then whoosh, he literally jumps off into the distance, vanishing like an absolute ghost. Seowoon just stands there totally speechless. Honestly, having a movement skill like that would be so incredibly overpowered for just getting around this crazy map. But anyway, back to reality. Seowoon sticks to the plan and heads toward the boundary line. Man, this map is ridiculously huge. It takes him an entire day of walking just to reach his destination. He spots a house with the lights blaring. Now in a survival game, this means one of two things. Either it's totally empty or some clueless noob forgot to hit the switch. Either way, he's got no choice but to head inside and check it out. After digging around, he scores some random loot. Healing scrolls a bunch of jerky, but sadly no high-tier gear. Then the exhaustion hits him. He remembers he pulled an all-nighter talking to that old martial arts guy, so he wraps himself up in his cloak like a burrito and immediately passes out. Bad move. He completely oversleeps into day 5. He wakes up in a panic to the sound of another player trashing the house. Seowoon absolutely freaks. The sun is shining bright, and he was dead to the world this whole time. He readies his bow, hiding in wait. The second the guy steps in, bam, he shoots. But this intruder is insanely fast and actually slices the bolt right out of midair. Now watch closely, because you're about to see him completely panic. Out of everyone on this server, he had to run into a crazy, overpowered martial artist. Survival mode activated. Seowoon spams his subspace inventory, throwing a literal rain of daggers. While the guy frantically blocks, Seowoon tackles him straight to the floor. He grabs an arrow, raising it high for the final strike. The dude starts screaming, begging for mercy and offering rare loot. But Seowoon, cold as ice. He ignores him and jams the arrow right in. Game over. As soon as he drops a loot, chest spawns. Suddenly Seowoon notices this glowing green energy floating around. Oh snap, it's the life chi that the old man was talking about earlier. He absorbs the glowing green light and instantly bam, pure strength surges through his veins. It hits him. This is what real inner energy actually feels like. He is absolutely mind blown. Just taking one person's chi made him feel incredibly light, fast, and insanely strong. Checking his status window, he spots a brand new stat line dedicated totally to inner energy. His inner energy level is sitting pretty at 20 points. He definitely stole those stats from the dead guy. Seowoon grins like a maniac. That old man's advice was an absolute goldmine. Still, he knows just relying on player killing for chi is a super risky move. He needs to find safer methods. He pulls up the server player count and completely freezes. Only 24 players left alive. After just 5 short days, right before his eyes the number drops again, he instantly checks the live kill feed. Another brutal kill by Nam. This crazy guy is literally speedrunning the server, hunting down every single player in his sight just to force the entire game to end way faster. You and I both know what this means. The ultimate boss just noticed Seowoon on the feed. Nam has firmly locked onto Seowoon's name while our boy is desperately trying to stay hidden. Seowoon knows he would get absolutely crushed by Nam. He barely survived that random martial artist. Fighting Nam right now is straight up suicide. He searches his recent kill again, but unfortunately the rest of the loot is total garbage. So the new strategy: hide in the shadows and let everyone else eliminate each other. Fast forward a whole week. Seowoon realizes his early game luck was insane because lately he's finding absolute trash. Still, he plays it smart. He camps out near the restricted zone border, basically living off werewolf meat just to avoid running into other aggressive players. But man, he is getting so sick of dry jerky. Day 12 rolls around. Only 20 players are left alive. Standing near the edge, Seowoon tests the restricted zone barrier and instantly recoils from the intense pain. He completely freaks out, especially since Nam has dominated the kill feed for an entire week straight. Clearly everyone else left alive is cowardly hiding out too. Out of nowhere, a massive smoke cloud rises in the distance. Oh yeah, an epic team battle is definitely going down over there. Looks like a whole alliance of players has finally grouped up, desperately trying to take down Nam before he slaughters them all. But Nam, he just laughs, mocking them for needing an entire army just to fight one single kid. Honestly though, he is grateful. They literally delivered themselves right to his doorstep, saving him the boring chore of hunting them down individually across the map. Nam asks if they are ready to die trying. So, what do you and I think? Total wipeout. Stick with me here. Before they can even blink, Nam leaps up and drops straight onto a random guy. Boom, one shot to the head. A second later, another guy drops dead. It is a completely one-sided massacre as Nam just slaughters the whole squad one after another. Watching this, Seowoon realizes something terrifying. Nam is absolutely going to win the game unless a miracle happens. Seowoon just stares in pure shock as Nam floods the entire kill feed. 9 players dead in seconds. He literally cannot believe it, honestly wondering if this crazy guy is hacking. Nam wipes the floor with them, feeling zero pity. Honestly, they didn't even manage to put up a real fight. Strangely enough, a glowing mage staff is just lying there in the dirt right where Nam annihilated that entire squad. Later on, the archmage arrives at the massacre. He spots the staff, instantly recognizing it. It belonged to his student Elizabeth. The archmage absolutely loses his mind, swearing brutal revenge for Elizabeth. Meanwhile, Seowoon does the math. If he just camps and survives a little bit longer, he easily secures top 10. But there is a catch. He desperately needs to find some top-tier items if he actually wants to survive. Perched high up in a tree, Seowoon scopes out the area and spots a massive mansion far off. He realizes that the mansion gets swallowed by the safe zone tomorrow. That makes it the absolute final spot for a proper loot run. Sneaking inside, Seowoon is totally blown away by the luxury. He spots Royal Guard armor but leaves it behind, way too heavy for his stealthy build. Watch closely now because you and I both know a huge mansion like this is hiding the real top-tier loot. Jackpot. He finds an elixir that massively boosts internal energy, but absorbing it takes 3 whole hours. He is absolutely hyped. This means he gets massive inner energy without draining literal life force. He keeps looting, even scoring a martial arts manual. Still, that elixir has to wait. Sitting perfectly motionless for 3 hours right now is basically a death sentence. A little bit later, he uncovers a hidden cellar. He just knows something amazing is waiting down there. Boom, a massive explosion violently rocks the entire mansion, forcing Seowoon to run for his literal life. He dives away, taking hard cover behind some bushes. His heart is pounding. What just happened? He was completely sure nobody had followed him here. Looking out, he spots the furious archmage. Turns out that insane explosion was completely aimed at Nam Sagwang. The mage actually praises Nam for surviving. Nam's response: he threatens to beat the old man until his mouth stops working. Meanwhile, Seowoon is watching everything from the shadows. I know what you are thinking. The absolute beast who slaughtered 90% of the lobby is just a kid. Escrow hovers above, raises his staff high, and calls down a massive, devastating lightning strike right on Nam. Nam barely dodges it. Escrow furiously screams, asking how long he plans to keep running. He demands Nam fight him directly, just like he did to Elizabeth. Nam dodged it, sure, but he is sweating. Escrow is absolutely not just all talk. Nam has never faced anyone with this level of insane magic, not even back in Jungwon. Honestly, some of these flashy magic skills are scaring him badly. Without pausing, Escrow summons an even bigger lightning storm, fully aiming to execute Nam instantly. Seeing that massive storm charging straight at him, Nam knows the truth. One hit means instant death. He pushes his speed to the limit, dodging wildly while launching towards Escrow for a slash. But the magic barrier holds, and Escrow violently smashes Nam down. But wait a second, that was just an illusion. Suddenly, heavy rain pours down. Seowoon realizes this weather change is literally caused by Escrow's magic. The old man is a monster. Turns out the real Nam is already sprinting away. Escrow screams at the top of his lungs, swearing he will hunt Nam down and end him. Nam successfully escapes, vowing to win their next rematch. He is tough, but smart enough to know when to strategically retreat, heal up, and fight another day. Escrow eventually floats back down to search the area, but Nam is totally gone. Seowoon breathes out, realizing his stealth cloak is the only thing keeping him alive. Once clear, Seowoon heads back to that cellar, hoping it holds rare treasure. He opens it up and descends into the dark basement. He lights his path with a lantern, incredibly thankful he decided to grab it during yesterday's massive loot run. Small details save lives. Reaching the very bottom, he spots dried meat hanging everywhere. Then it hits him. This is literally just a normal food cellar. He groans in utter disappointment. He desperately needed powerful items, but all he got was a stupid medieval pantry. But wait, he thinks for a second. He has only been eating dry, tasteless jerky for days. Cut to 1 hour later and Seowoon is grinning like an idiot, absolutely stuffed with food. Now that his stomach is completely full, it is finally time. So what do we think happens after he drinks this elixir? Alright, stick with me here. He also just scored a manual called Unrestrained Fist. The creator poured his absolute heart and soul into this martial art, but the whole thing was completely lost over time because there were 0 disciples. Seowoon is not exactly blown away, but hey, it is still better than absolutely nothing. He decides to just chug the elixir first and worry about everything else later. He gulps down the elixir and immediately screams in pure agony. His dantian is suddenly overflowing with insane inner energy. He quickly realizes the tiny bit he absorbed before is an absolute joke compared to this massive power surge. His body goes completely numb. His movements turn sluggish, confirming exactly what the system said: he is paralyzed for the next 3 hours. 3 extremely boring hours later, Seowoon can finally move again. He flops right onto his back because lying totally stiff like that was exhausting. Our guy is honestly feeling pretty proud. He managed to survive a whole week without getting completely slaughtered by Nam or Escrow. On day 13, Seowoon slowly climbs out of the cellar. Just like he guessed, he is already right near the edge of the restricted zone. He pulls up the player count and is completely shocked. Only 10 players are left. He wonders if somebody got taken out overnight. When he checks the actual names, his jaw drops. The dead player is actually Dune. Apparently, the guy actually eliminated himself. This leaves Seowoon completely confused, wondering why the old man would do that. Sure, hitting the top 10 is a huge win, but getting there like this, yeah, it honestly feels pretty weird to him. Suddenly, the map starts shrinking rapidly. Seowoon panics, realizing it would be absolutely pathetic to die to the zone after surviving this long. He scrambles away from the border, deciding to stick with his cowardly survival strategy. Hey, for a weak guy like him, hiding in the shadows is the only way to climb the ranks. Now watch closely, because right as he is relaxing, a massive fireball suddenly blasts his way, nearly roasting him alive on the spot. He barely manages to dodge it, but total panic sets in when he realizes only one mage has the crazy firepower to summon that. It is none other than Escrow. Suddenly, Seowoon is standing face to face with a monster. Escrow just sighs in total disappointment. He honestly thought he had finally cornered Nam, but nope, just some random newbie. Seowoon curses himself. He realizes using his brand new internal energy to sprint is exactly what gave his position away. He literally ran straight into Escrow. The terrifying mage glares at him, asking if he knows Nam. Spilling Nam's location is his only ticket out alive. But behind Escrow's back, Nam is already there. The crazy fighter is smiling like an absolute maniac, completely ready to ambush them both. Sweating bullets, Seowoon desperately asks Escrow why he would possibly know Nam when they just met. He acts completely clueless. Escrow glares back, claiming Seowoon and Nam share the exact same regional vibe, making them obvious allies. Right in the middle of this intense interrogation, Seowoon spots Nam launching himself straight at Escrow's back. Escrow suddenly feels a massive impact against his defensive barrier. He whips around, totally shocked to see Nam attacking him. Nam grins, teasing that he is back at full health, but right now, Escrow is actually running dangerously low on mana. Seowoon is absolutely losing his mind watching this insane ambush. Nam hammers on the barrier, promising to end Escrow once and for all. I know what you are thinking, he is safe, right? Escrow confidently agrees. But in a split second, Escrow feels his throat getting violently slashed apart. Nam somehow shattered his impenetrable defense. He laughs loudly, asking Escrow if he has ever heard of enhanced energy techniques. It is aura energy, an incredibly rare martial arts trick under the enhanced tier. It is so tough to master that almost nobody uses it. Nam smirks, admitting he never expected to use it inside a game. He tells the dying mage to feel honored. Escrow is literally the first person to witness this insane skill. Blood violently gushes from his neck as he drops to his knees, coughing. Nam casually mentions that reaching the top 5 would have been easy for Escrow, but his one fatal mistake was crossing paths with him. While these heavyweights are brutally settling their score, Seowoon is praising the heavens. Escrow absolutely would have murdered him if Nam had not appeared. Seowoon uses this perfect chaotic distraction to quietly make his escape. Nam ruthlessly punches Escrow right in the shattered throat again, going for the final kill. Sneaking away, Seowoon glances back, already getting greedy. Imagine the insane power upgrade if he absorbed their life chi. Escrow is now helplessly sitting in a massive pool of his own blood. Nam arrogantly mocks him for losing his cocky attitude. Nam cruelly asks for any dramatic last words, fully knowing it is just pure torture since Escrow cannot even speak with a ruined throat. Suddenly, Escrow completely invades Nam's mind. Using telepathy, he reveals that Elizabeth, the girl Nam coldly murdered, was his beloved apprentice. Turns out the academy kicked Elizabeth out just for being a woman. Escrow is filled with deep regret for not protecting her back then. Nam just laughs it off. But Escrow finally snaps. And trust me, you and I are not ready for what happens next. Alright, let us jump right into the madness. Nam is confused, but Seowoon spots a literal meteor crashing down on them. Nam completely loses it. He has no clue how Escrow is pulling off magic while hanging onto his last tiny shred of life. Escrow smiles. It is Armageddon, the ultimate archmage spell that burns up all his mana and life energy as the final price. Nam instantly bolts for his life and Seowoon sprints too. Seowoon is totally freaking out, kicking himself for not running away much earlier. The giant rock finally slams down with Escrow, hoping to reunite with Elizabeth. Boom. The impact completely shatters the entire zone, wiping out the area and setting everything ablaze like a total nuclear blast. Miles away, another elf player spots the massive explosion going off in the distance. Seeing that ridiculous level of destruction, he instantly knows only one guy could possibly pull off a spell like that: escrow. When the dust finally settles, Seowoon is on the ground, groaning in absolute agony. He really wishes he ran away sooner, but he is definitely not ready for a game over, so he quickly pulls healing scrolls from his subspace. Good thing he hoarded a massive pile of healing items just for emergencies. Honestly, if he had not chugged that elixir earlier, the meteor blast would have vaporized him. After using one scroll, his body is still screaming in pain. Yeah, one is clearly not enough. Left with no choice, he rips open every single scroll he hoarded just to stop the pain and heal his broken body. Checking the kill feed, he sees escrow is officially dead. Too bad, he really wanted to steal all that sweet life energy. Now pay close attention here. The system says nothing about Nam dying. Is that monster actually still alive? Right on cue, a faint noise catches his ear, and he carefully tracks it down. Shockingly, he finds Nam lying there completely wrecked. The meteor blast actually tore off his lower body and arms, leaving him totally helpless. The guy is literally holding a healing scroll in his mouth, begging Seowoon to rip it open for him. Seowoon is not surprised at all. Dodging a giant meteor aimed right at your head is pretty much impossible even for Nam. And with no working arms, activating healing items is completely off the table. Nam practically cries, begging Seowoon to grab the scroll from his mouth and tear it. Seowoon just stares at him, dropping the casual fact that he knows who Nam is. He admits he always wondered what insane gear Nam used to crush other players. He expected Nam to win, not end up looking like a crushed bug. Panic sets in. Nam swears he will make Seowoon the winner if he just helps him out. Yeah, right. Seowoon ignores the lies, pulling a dagger from his subspace. Stealing Nam's massive life energy is the ultimate game plan. We all saw this coming, right? Nam screams out. He begs him to stop trying to warn him about all the other overpowered players still roaming around the map. Seowoon just smirks, revealing his own name, so Nam knows exactly who ended him. Nam screams, swearing he will never forgive him for this dirty move. But words do not matter anymore. Seowoon drives his dagger straight into the guy's head. As Nam takes his final breath, a tiny bit of guilt hits Seowoon since Nam looks like a kid. Instantly, a massive wave of life energy erupts from the body, literally shocking Seowoon down to his bones. He eagerly absorbs the power, realizing Nam was basically walking around like a human elixir. While he drinks in the energy, a server notification drops. Seowoon has killed Nam, and only 8 players remain alive. The archer elf spots the message, realizing everyone can finally move freely across the map now that the biggest bully is gone. Back with our guy, Seowoon immediately starts looting the glorious pile of dropped items. Bursting with new energy, he feels confident enough to fight anyone. But when he opens the loot chest, his jaw drops at the insane gear inside. First up is the Kaiser ring, a massive boost to agility. Then there is one for insane strength, one for crazy stamina, and even a ring that maxes out magic resistance. Totally speechless, he equips all of them. It turns out Nam had been running around farming only top-tier loot. Classic troll behavior. Nam acted like a normal player while secretly being heavily overgeared and bullying everyone. After slapping on the rings, he checks his status screen. His numbers have absolutely skyrocketed through the roof. Looking at these god-tier stats, Seowoon finally realizes he actually has a solid shot at winning this entire game. He even found rare martial arts manuals. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. But here is the catch. He literally cannot learn any of them yet, since they all require specific prerequisite skills first. Suddenly, his senses tingle. He is still glancing around the area when out of nowhere a massive fireball blasts him right in the back. Let's pause right here. You and I know this mage is making a huge mistake. He mocks Seowoon for letting his guard down, calling him a dumb, lucky idiot. But honestly, that fiery attack does absolutely 0 damage. Seowoon just casually turns around, asking the guy who he even is. Seeing him completely unharmed, the mage absolutely loses his mind in panic. Our guy just laughs, saying he only saw a tiny flash. Why? Because his magic resistance is sitting at an insane 90 points. As Seowoon slowly walks forward, the mage completely panics, screaming at him to stay the heck away. He threatens to blast him with another flame spell if he steps any closer, but Seowoon just completely ignores it. The dude actually fires again, but the flames still do literally nothing. Desperate, the mage unleashes an even bigger spell, creating a massive explosion. But the second Seowoon gets into close range, he casually activates his newly learned martial art technique, the piercing fist. He punches the guy so insanely hard in the chest, his internal organs practically do a backflip. The mage gets launched through the air, slamming brutally into a tree. Seowoon is genuinely shocked. This random martial art he barely cared about is incredibly overpowered. It turns out technique damage scales directly with how much inner chi you have. A single punch completely takes the mage out, dropping the total number of surviving players down to 7. He quickly realizes that no average magic user can ever touch him again, all thanks to that massive 90-point magic resistance boost. Here is where it gets real for us. He realizes those players hiding from Nam are finally coming out. It is going to be a long night. Seowoon then launches himself up into the trees, leaping around effortlessly like Dune, all thanks to his brand new energy. An hour later, he is chilling invisibly in the woods using his cloak. Suddenly, some loudmouth starts screaming his name, demanding a face-to-face fight. It is a swordsman named Stanko, here to avenge that dead mage. He is loudly bragging about himself when a random arrow flies right at him, which he barely blocks. He starts furiously trash-talking the unknown attacker, calling them a total coward for resorting to a cheap ambush. But then he spots the sniper hiding up in the branches, the elven archer Zuro. Zuro is visibly shocked that Stanko recognizes him. Stanko casually explains that Zuro is incredibly famous among mercenaries, basically an absolute living legend. Smirking, Stanko proposes they team up to take Seowoon out of the picture. Zuro quietly thinks it over for a second before dropping down, accepting the deal. Stanko hypes him up, saying it is the right choice, and officially introduces himself. He swears Zuro will not regret this partnership, bragging about his own massive reputation inside the guild. I know what you are thinking, best friends forever. Nope. Stanko secretly thinks Zuro is a complete idiot. Meanwhile, Zuro starts doing this weird countdown on his fingers. Right in the middle of his counting, Stanko just bursts out mocking him, laughing that he never should have gotten into close range since he is just a squishy archer. Stanko swings his massive sword, aiming to slice him in half, but before the blade even connects, an arrow flies out of absolutely nowhere, blowing right through Stanko's head. Zuro just mocks the corpse. He says there is zero chance he would ever team up with garbage like him, adding that even dogs would disrespect him. Right after that, Zuro mutters to himself about needing to go track down Seowoon. Plot twist: the guy he is looking for is literally standing right behind him. Seowoon is busy absorbing Stanko's chi, soaking up every last drop of that precious energy. Suddenly, Zuro whips his head around, staring directly at where Seowoon is crouching. Seowoon starts absolutely freaking out. His stealth cloak should be flawless. He panics, terrified this elf has some crazy detection skill he knows nothing about. Right as his heart practically drops out of his chest, Zuro just walks away, muttering that Stanko's gear is probably absolute garbage anyway, so it is not even worth looting him. Once he is gone, Seowoon drops to the dirt in pure relief. He truly thought it was game over. Realizing how sharp Zuro's senses are, he fears this archer is next. Sometime later, Seowoon notices the safe zone is rapidly shrinking. With 87 days still on the clock, it is super obvious the zone border is adjusting based strictly on the current survivor count. Soon after, he steps out into an open field. He immediately goes on high alert, knowing any fight in this wide open space will attract every player nearby. Just as he is about to turn back, a magic blast appears, flying straight at him, but Seowoon barely manages to dive aside. So what do we make of this? He dodges, but that attack targeted his exact hidden spot. How is anyone hitting him with his stealth cloak active? Stick with me here. He is still doubting he got spotted when even more magic blasts straight toward him. He absolutely panics, realizing there is zero chance he can dodge all of these hits at the same time. Backed into a corner, he decides to fight. He takes a deep breath and unleashes a massive piercing fist to block the incoming strike. Seowoon completely shatters the blast, genuinely shocked to realize his own strength is way higher than he expected. Jumping high into the air, he scans the area for his attacker. And yeah, he quickly spots the guy hiding up in a nearby tree. Meanwhile, the sniper is sweating bullets because he just drained a massive chunk of mana on that single blast. And he did not even finish the job. But right before Seowoon can rush over and humble this guy, bam, another player sneaks up from behind, stabbing a sword right through his chest and dropping him instantly. This new guy just mocks the corpse, laughing that he should have saved some mana for a simple detection spell, or maybe a barrier. Obviously, this newcomer is an absolute pro-assassin, and completely erasing his own tracks is child's play. With the mage dead, the player count drops to 5, meaning Seowoon officially hit the top 5. The assassin slowly turns, calling out Seowoon by name. Seowoon is totally caught off guard by that. The killer says it makes sense. Seowoon took out public enemy number 1, Nam. He adds that everyone else in the game must be completely desperate to hunt him down too. He tells Seowoon to just give up and die quietly, bragging that he has literally never failed to eliminate a target once he locks onto them. Watch closely right here. The assassin rushes Seowoon with twin sickles and our boy braces for impact, but the enemy closes the gap in less than a blink. He slices right into Seowoon before he can even react. The assassin actually compliments him, saying that Strike should have chopped him completely in half, but he is weirdly sturdy. Seowoon silently agrees. If he had not wrapped his body in thick internal energy, his arm would be lying on the floor. Right here, Seowoon really has to admit that this new opponent is dangerously strong. The assassin confidently promises a quick death, loudly bragging that he has never failed a single assassination while fighting in the dark before. But the second he says the word dark, a light bulb goes off in Seowoon's head. He still has his cloak of hiding, an item that only works in darkness. At that exact moment, the assassin completely vanishes from sight. He pops up right behind him, but right before he swings those sickles, Seowoon pops the cloak and literally vanishes into thin air. The stealth master fully panics, angrily, screaming and demanding to know where Seowoon went. You and I saw that reversal coming. Seowoon mocks his decent stealth skills, claiming they are absolute trash compared to the cloak. Before the guy can blink, Seowoon suddenly spawns right behind him and lands a brutal stab. The hypocrite tries to gaslight Seowoon, crying about cowardly back attacks, but Seowoon just coldly reminds him about his own big death threats. He wants to see how that plan is working out. Realizing his life is basically over, the dude shamelessly begs to team up against the remaining players. Yeah, that pathetic offer is totally ignored. Seowoon just violently impales him from the back, instantly ending his game forever. That brings the total player count down to 4, and Seowoon immediately starts draining the dead guy's precious chi. He quickly snatches up the dropped healing scrolls too, but he makes sure to loot incredibly fast so he can escape the area, knowing this huge mess will easily attract unwanted attention. Digging through the assassin's gear, Seowoon scores a legendary Shadow Clone Manual. It is an insanely broken skill that literally lets the user summon a battle-ready clone of themselves, and the max number of clones simply scales off the user's total internal energy. The system prompts him to learn it, and Seowoon seriously thanks his lucky stars that the dead guy had absolutely zero clue about internal energy. Because if that assassin actually knew this skill, winning that fight would have been an absolute nightmare. From the mage, he loots a grimoire called Carmen's Eyes, a top-tier detection spell designed to see right through any kind of stealth ability. The only problem, he cannot learn it quite yet since his magic circle level is way too low. He quickly realizes this spell is exactly how that mage easily tracked him down, completely ignoring his cloak of hiding. But right while he is safely checking out the grimoire, a sharp arrow violently whistles past his ear, slicing his cheek. Without a single doubt, Seowoon instantly knows exactly who shot that arrow. There is only one archer left in this whole game, Zero. Before he can even catch his breath, another heavy magic strike drops right on his head. He is totally stunned because he has never seen magic like this before. But at this point, dodging is completely out of the question, so he has no choice but to channel every drop of his internal energy into one massive, ultimate piercing fist. Throwing his absolute all into this heavy punch, he somehow manages to block the brutal blast. So what do you and I make of this? 2 perfectly timed attacks means he just got ambushed by a duo and he is definitely injured. Stick with me here. A cheap assassin suddenly appears behind him, swinging his sword. Our main character dodges the sudden strike just in time, but then the horrible truth hits him hard. He is actually getting triple-teamed. The 3 enemies hunting him down, Zuro Chana, the divine archer, the demon king's right hand named Chiron, and Centurk, the fierce king of Cryon. Surrounded and completely outnumbered, our guy is left wondering how to even survive this. He is super annoyed because he was so close to winning before these teamers showed up. Now his only real escape plan is to force these guys to betray each other, but plotting a betrayal means figuring out their entire group dynamic first. And honestly, that is going to be incredibly tough since they are total strangers. Chiron politely greets the rival king, but Centurk immediately tells him to get lost, totally insulting the mere dark magic user. Chiron quickly reminds the arrogant king that teaming up for a much better loot drop is way more important than showing off their royal status. Hearing this bickering, our boy realizes these 3 never actually planned to work together. He quickly crouches behind a bush, throwing on his stealth cloak to sneak away. The king barks back at Chiron, demanding they deal with the sneaky main character first before even discussing any sort of alliance. Smirking with absolute confidence, Chiron tells the king not to sweat it at all, claiming he is the perfect guy for this exact job. He raises both hands high, casting a wild magic spell that literally drops a blazing mini sun into the sky, totally wiping out all shadows. Surprisingly impressed, the king praises the dark mage, admitting he is way smarter than he looks. Now watch closely. He totally panics, because you and I know a blazing trick like this makes his stealth cloak completely useless. Chiron casually mentions how thrilled he is that Nam already eliminated Escrow, since that guy would have been a massive headache to fight. Glaring down, the dark mage announces it is finally time for him to die for the Demon King. Firing off a deadly magic blast, Chiron lunges forward. Panicking slightly, our hero desperately scrambles to cook up a survival plan. Then it hits him, magic users always suck at close combat. If he rushes in tight, Chiron might accidentally blow himself up with friendly fire. Kicking this insane plan into gear, he recklessly dashes straight at the dark mage, determined to force a brutal close-quarters brawl. The mage quickly catches on and shoves his magical blast right at his face, but backing down is simply not an option anymore. Thinking fast, he floods his entire body with thick internal energy, hoping to tank the massive magical damage heading his way. He is totally prepared to violently bulldoze right through that spell, whatever the cost. Right then, a system alert pops up. His precious stealth cloak just took critical damage and is completely broken until further repairs. He is absolutely stunned. His protective energy shield is already shattering to pieces, and his favorite hiding gear is totally ruined. Assuming his target is dead, Chiron powers down his assault. After all, nobody survives a direct hit from a nuke spell like that. Suddenly, he bursts right from the explosion. Before the arrogant mage can even blink, the gap is completely closed. Bleeding everywhere, he pushes forward, but creepy undead hands grab him. Honestly, he admits this guy is the strongest magic user he has ever faced. Desperate to escape the grip, he suddenly triggers a shadow clone, completely stunning Chiron. The mage thought he was just a brawler. He leaps forward as Chiron freezes. You and I definitely did not see this coming. The king literally backstabs his own ally, the blade piercing straight through both fighters. Coughing blood, Chiron calls out the king for such a cowardly move. But the ruthless ruler just smirks, claiming that victory is the only real honor. Rubbing salt in the wound, the king casually mentions he never actually promised to team up. Mocking the dying mage, he cheerfully thanks him for doing all the dirty work. He turns toward the divine archer up on the cliff, declaring they are the final two. But the archer just smiles, mocking his premature celebration. Totally confused, the king turns just as our hero seemingly respawns beside him, delivering a colossal punch that sends him rocketing away. His heavy armor violently shatters mid-air before he slams horribly into a solid wall, triggering a massive dust explosion. Watching the king eat debris, our guy realizes it is just him and the archer. The archer claps for his survival, admitting he truly thought the sword strike killed him. Turns out it was just another sneaky shadow clone trick. Annoyed by the chatter, he tells the archer to shut up and fight. But the archer wags a finger, telling him to chill out because the real boss fight is not over. Yep, the king actually survived that massive punch. Despite a heavily bleeding face, the royal tank looks completely ready for round 2. The king is absolutely baffled that his target survived, swearing he felt his blade slice flesh, completely fooled by that wild clone ability. He is honestly amazed his finest armor shattered. So what do you and I make of this absolute chaos? Alright, stick with me here, you and I are about to watch an epic showdown. Sensing danger, Seowoon ditches his shirt, telling Centurk to shut up and asking if they'll fight fairly or jump him. Centurk just smirks, warning Seowoon he's going to regret making him go all out. Suddenly, boom, Centurk vanishes completely. Before Seowoon can even blink, the guy is right on him. The next second, Centurk's sword pierces straight through Seowoon's left arm. He starts bragging, claiming absolutely nobody has ever beaten his god-tier speed. Centurk coldly declares that Seowoon's arm is officially useless now, exactly like he planned from the start. Seowoon stares at his pierced shoulder in total shock. He completely miscalculated. He actually thought Centurk was just a slow, heavy-hitting strength-type character. But giving up, yeah, Seowoon is definitely not doing that. He ground too hard to get here. It's time to fully trust his own inner energy to survive. Without blinking, Seowoon literally snaps Centurk's rapier in half. Then he rips the broken blade right out of his arm. Using his chi palms, he launches that broken blade straight back. It slices right across Centurk's face, absolutely infuriating him because his beautiful looks are totally ruined. Seowoon doesn't even hesitate. He whips out a magical healing scroll and tears it, fixing his arm instantly. Now, stuck holding half a sword, Centurk decides it is time to ignite his aura blade. He actually praises Seowoon, a little impressed he was pushed hard enough to bring out this technique. Seowoon gets back up, ready to go totally unhinged too. He activates his shadow clone skill, dropping 8 copies instantly. Now pay attention, because here's where it gets wild. Centurk finds these tricky clones super annoying, but he stays fully confident he'll crush him anyway. Meanwhile, Seowoon calls the guy a total fraud, telling him to brace himself because he is throwing absolutely everything he has at him right now. Centurk fully agrees with that idea. He suggests they just clash right now without wasting another second. But deep down, Centurk knows a secret. His powerful aura blade only lasts for exactly 2 minutes. If he wants to actually survive this clash, he absolutely has to end the fight before time runs out. On the flip side, Seowoon's inner energy is basically running on fumes. He needs a quick finish, so he makes the first bold move, dashing straight at Centurk. Centurk aims his glowing sword forward, but out of nowhere, Seowoon surprises him from behind with a massive punch. Furious Centurk whips around and swings his blade wildly, but that attacker, it turns out to be a clone. Centurk's jaw drops in pure shock. He destroyed a fake, but he literally felt that solid hit land perfectly. Since it's playing out like this, Centurk completely gives up guessing. He decides to just violently slaughter every single clone on the field. He's barely finished that thought when Seowoon randomly pops up right beside him, delivering a brutal punch straight to his face. The impact is so ridiculously heavy that Centurk is left dizzy, wondering if this attacker was actually the real Seowoon. Reading his mind, Seowoon mocks him, telling him to stop looking for the original body. Why? Because every clone he makes can actually land physical attacks. I know what you're thinking. Clones are usually weak, right? Nope, these are as strong as the original body. Right on cue, 2 clones combine their insane strength and rush him. Centurk barely survives by frantically jumping backward. With those clones wide open, Centurk swings, his aura blade instantly shredding both of them apart. By destroying 2 at once, he realizes their defense is absolute trash. Only 5 clones stand between him and victory now. The massive problem, he only has about 60 seconds left before his aura blade totally vanishes. Meanwhile, Zero watches from the sidelines completely stunned that Centurk is struggling this much. Desperate Centurk violently screams at Zero, begging him to stop being a spectator and jump in so they can double-team Seowoon. Centurk promises Zero that if he helps secure this win, he'll give him whatever reward he desires once they return to their world. Zero just laughs casually, telling him to keep his eyes on the fight. Centurk turns back, spotting Seowoon charging. Panicking, he slashes wildly with his aura blade, but Seowoon smoothly bends backward, letting the lethal energy fly harmlessly past him. Seowoon counters immediately with a heavy palm strike, but shockingly the powerful attack gets completely blocked. This leaves him wide open. Centurk takes full advantage, wasting 0 time as he viciously plunges his glowing blade straight into Seowoon's chest, leaving a gaping hole. But before he can even smile, the body pops into smoke. Yep, he just violently killed another clone, not the original. The crushing disappointment hits Centurk instantly. The horrifying reality sets in. Seowoon has just been completely playing with him. Humiliated and pushed past his limit, Centurk absolutely loses his mind. He screams at Seowoon, yelling that winning doesn't even matter anymore. Going full berserker mode, he promises to violently rip Seowoon apart using every ounce of his power. Seeing this unhinged energy, Zero finally realizes Centurk has fully transformed into the terrifying King of Madness. Unleashing insane speed and raw blade aura, Centurk dashes forward and completely shreds 2 clones in one strike. Trust me, you and I aren't ready for how this fight ends. Alright, stick with me here. He finally realizes he has just 2 opponents left, the real body and a clone. Both bodies rush at Centurk, throwing devastating punches. Centurk easily catches the one on his right side, but hold the celebration. He quickly realizes that the guy he just grabbed is absolutely nothing but another fake clone. That leaves Centurk facing the body on the left. He locks in, concluding, this has to be the real Seowoon. Both fighters instantly lunge at each other. They are looking to end this in a single strike. Centurk swings hard, but Seowoon actually blocks it using his feet. Centurk admits his hand-to-hand combat is seriously impressive, but he has a completely different trick hidden up his sleeve. Centurk violently unleashes his aura blade in pure lightning form. The terrifying destructive force completely shatters Seowoon's body to absolute pieces. Seowoon hits the ground screaming in pain. He begs Centurk to stop, pointing out that Zero is the only one who wins if they keep fighting. Centurk completely ignores him. He jams his sword straight into his chest, destroying Seowoon instantly. Right at that exact second, his aura blade skill runs dry. Centurk thanks his lucky stars, he finished Seowoon at the final moment. But here's the part you and I need to watch closely. Something feels totally wrong. It suddenly hits him. Killing Seowoon didn't give him that solid feeling of taking down a real body. Before he can even process the error, Seowoon appears right behind him, grabbing his head. He violently crushes it, defeating Centurk right on the spot. Standing over defeated Centurk, Seowoon openly admits he would have lost without exhausting him using all those clones. Now that Centurk is out, it is just Seowoon and Zero. Zero actually chuckles, totally shocked that Seowoon managed to beat Centurk. Zero genuinely thanks Seowoon, admitting that Centurk was a massive headache. He then drops the hammer, telling Seowoon he has 0 chance after burning all his energy against that stubborn tank. Zero calmly readies his bow, pointing it directly at Seowoon, and declaring it is time to die. Seowoon watches in pure horror as an arrow zooms toward his head at lightning speed. But right before it hits, he desperately absorbs chi straight from Centurk's fallen body. It is definitely nowhere near the crazy power he got from Nam, but he figures it is just enough. Desperate to close the distance before the attack lands, he instantly pops his shadow clone skill, splitting up and rushing straight at Zero. Zero gets visibly annoyed that Seowoon is using that stupid clone trick again. He draws his bow back with a cold smirk. He fires a shot right at Seowoon. But instead of hitting a fake, the arrow catches Seowoon's actual body. It pierces his leg, sending him crashing down. As Seowoon hits the dirt, Zero confidently guarantees there is no running this time. He proves it by shooting arrows straight through Seowoon's hands, pinning him down completely. Seowoon screams in agony, demanding to know how Zero instantly spotted his real body like that. You saw that coming, right? Zero just smiles, claiming it was a pure guess. Headshot perfectly lined up. He actually praises Seowoon for surviving this far, offering him genuine respect before the end. Seowoon curses him out, rejecting his damn respect. Zero simply fires a final arrow straight through his head, instantly ending him. And just like that, the match is over. Zoro takes the absolute ultimate victory. The next second, Seowoon wakes up in the waiting room, staring at Zoro standing over his corpse. He groans out loud. He did all the heavy lifting and Zoro just stole the final prize. But hey, he basically did the same thing to defenseless Nam. The system suddenly congratulates Seowoon for making it into the top 2. A message pops up saying he qualifies for the next game. Wait, so there really is another stage coming. He gets a notification that with kill bonuses added up, he bagged a clean 140 reward coins. Seowoon is totally confused about what coins even do. Then the system magically summons all his acquired items. Looking at the pop-up, Seowoon realizes he actually snagged some seriously overpowered loot out there. The system explains that he can permanently keep these items by spending his hard-earned reward coins. He checks out the Shadow Clone skill and completely panics. It costs 130 coins, practically his entire damn wallet. But surprise, the system reveals the top 5 survivors get to spin a roulette wheel for random items. Classic system gacha mechanics. To make things even better, bagging second place means he gets to spin it twice. Seowoon gets super hyped. If he wins the Stealth Cloak or Shadow Clone here, he can save a massive pile of coins. The wheel spins fast, and the very first thing to flash on screen is Shadow Clone. So what do we take from this classic gacha luck, he screams as it stops right on Escrow's necklace instead. Alright, let us dive into this. You and I have definitely felt Seowoon's pain after pulling the absolute cheapest item possible. He cannot believe he looted all that epic gear just to get total garbage. But wait, it suddenly hits him, he has one more spin. He instantly starts praying to literally every single god out there for a miracle. The wheel spins, and as it hits the subspace ring, he screams at the top of his lungs for it to stop, but it just keeps going. Miraculously, it lands right on the Shadow Clone option, and Seowoon totally loses his mind celebrating. Since the Shadow Clone technique is literally the most expensive prize he knows, he can easily spend his remaining coins on other epic loot. The system hands over the Shadow Clone technique officially, letting him know he can use his spare coins to buy some extra gear. He will be automatically transferred out once he finishes. So instead of wandering around, Seowoon carefully sorts through his loot and makes his final choices. He finishes up his shopping spree quickly, and the system actually wishes him luck for the next round. Seowoon goes flying through an empty void, and in a flash he is standing right back in the exact alleyway where everything started. Resting perfectly in his palm is the subspace ring from the game. This instantly proves that none of that insane stuff was a dream. He quickly equips the ring and grabs his backpack. Walking away with a huge smirk, Seowoon can already feel this massive surge of new power changing him. Now watch closely, because you and I both know he is totally determined to train hard and secure first place in the next game, whatever it takes. He heads straight over to the small studio apartment his parents rented for him right by the school. The original plan, stay locked in there, cram for an upcoming English test and prep for school. But right now his only real focus is leveling up using those overpowered items he brought back. The second he enters his room, he drops into the lotus position. There is zero chance he is playing the next round like a complete noob. He suddenly realizes his energy core is completely empty, wondering if that final epic boss battle drained everything. To recover his strength, he decides the smartest move is to start cultivating exactly like that mysterious old man taught him. He vividly remembers what the old man said inside the game, challenging him to see if he actually had what it takes to reach his insane god-tier level of strength. A grueling 4 hours pass by and Seowoon just lets out a heavy groan of pure frustration. Why the groan? Because the tiny amount of inner energy he gathered was honestly pathetic. Reality is totally different from the game. At this horrible rate, it might literally take years before he even feels a proper spark inside him. Deciding not to waste another second, he simply starts organizing the awesome loot he brought back. Digging through his inventory, he really wishes he had scored a way better martial art manual than this basic one. Then it hits him hard. He might actually have to train this martial art step by step, just like building inner energy. If that is really how it works, there is zero chance he is getting overpowered anytime soon. I know exactly what you are thinking, and yes, the system actually asks if he wants to learn it working perfectly in the real world. Immediately, he starts throwing punches and kicks around his room, perfectly executing the martial art technique. Once he finishes the moves, he realizes it feels completely weak compared to when his inner energy was maxed out. He opens his storage to check his other drops, suddenly noticing the escrow necklace made it back with him too. Supposedly made of pure gold, he bites down hard on it just to check. To his absolute shock, it is totally real. Based on the heavy weight alone, he calculates this pure gold is easily worth at least 10 million won. The second he realizes this one coin necklace is worth a literal fortune out here, his greedy goblin face instantly activates. If he just smuggles back 10 of these from the next round, he will be filthy rich. That necklace was total trash back in the game, but in reality, it is an absolute goldmine. Next up is the refined troll blood, an insane item guaranteed to keep whoever drinks it perfectly healthy for an entire year. He only grabbed it because the buff sounded cool, but selling this miracle cure to a desperate billionaire, he could literally name any price he wanted. Right then and there, he becomes 100% convinced this survival game is his ultimate ticket to success. Suddenly, his stomach starts growling like crazy, and he remembers he survived entirely on absolute garbage while inside the game. Cultivating was so intense that he totally forgot he was starving to death. Realizing it is finally time for some decent food, he rushes straight over to Grandma Diner and orders a full-set meal. They quickly serve him a 50,000 won feast, something he always thought was way too expensive. So what do we take from this? Even a legendary player will openly cry over real food after almost dying from stale jerky. The grandma catches him tearing up. She tells him to stop crying before it ruins his appetite, especially since he was just eating at her restaurant yesterday. Seowoon just wipes his eyes and tells her the food is way too delicious. Stick with me here because he just realized that game time doesn't carry over into reality. Finishing up, he thanks the sweet lady for the meal. She tells him to quit the whining but makes sure he promises to return. Walking down the street, Seowoon wonders when the next round starts. He desperately needs to gather way more inner energy before it begins. Then it clicks. He brought back the Ring of Strength, and he has to test it. Slipping it on, he wonders if this system gear actually works in the real world. Time for a quick jump test. Absolute madness. He launches so far up into the sky before crashing back down to Earth. Pure shock hits him. Insane power is flowing through his veins, and he really hopes nobody just saw that. If his crazy strength gets reported, he is asking for huge trouble. So he rushes back to his room to test something he was too scared to use before. But honestly, he changed his mind now that game features are actually bleeding over into reality perfectly. Now watch this closely. He reaches into his storage to grab his most expensive item, the 50-coin Elixir of Insight. Back in the tutorial, taking this locked him perfectly still for 3 whole hours. Consuming that wild potion literally felt like his organs were melting into lava. He downs the elixir, and boom, instantly raw energy explodes from every pore of his body, making him scream out in absolute agony. Fast forward 3 hours. His neighbor actually called the cops because the walls are boiling hot. She nervously explains to the 2 arriving police officers that she tried knocking on his door. The handle was burning up. Annoyed, the cops say she really should have just called the fire department. Defending herself, the poor lady claims it was super hot, but 0 flames. One officer basically brushes her off, assuming the tenant just cranked his room boiler way too high today. She refuses to back down. Just to shut her up, one of the annoyed officers finally marches over to check the door. He grabs the handle and it burns him so badly he literally screams. The old lady totally hits him with the classic "I told you so." Freaked out, the cops start yelling for whoever is inside the apartment to open up immediately. Hearing the police, Seowoon slowly cracks the door open. The officers freeze, shocked by his totally sweat-drenched face. Playing it cool, he lies that a bad fever made him crank the boiler up a notch. He looks like a walking tomato, yet he boldly suggests they really should have just called the fire department instead of the police. The cops sigh, explaining they must respond to complaints. Then they ask if he needs an ambulance right now. Seowoon shakes his head no. He claims it is just a mild bug and some sleep will totally fix him up. Seeing him insist he is totally fine, the police finally decide to just back off. Walking away, the cops scold the old lady. Stop calling them for silly heating issues, it is just stressful for everyone. Seowoon shuts the door tight, immediately collapsing to the floor. He literally almost died just now. That elixir boiled his blood like magma. Without the white martial physique arts, he never could have contained that wild energy. You and I both know the risk is real now, but he still absolutely has to test this crazy skill. He activates Unstoppable Fist. One quick palm thrust forward and boom, a massive shockwave completely shatters his poor chair. Well, that definitely proves how insanely effective his techniques are. But honestly, now he has to sell off game loot just to afford a brand new desk chair. Next morning, he hits the public park gym to polish his moves. Huge mistake though, the place is totally packed with people. Mid-workout, his eyes lock onto a loud group of rowdy high school punks nearby. Their leader is casually smoking. A brave old man steps up lecturing the kid that students really shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. The punk totally disrespects him. He tells the grandpa to screw off, bragging that even his own parents don't care. The old man shakes his head, firing back that his parents did a terrible job raising him. That completely triggers the kid. Seowoon senses the trouble instantly. The punk winds up a slap, but bam, Seowoon kicks him square in the face. The bully goes flying into the concrete wall, completely knocked out. Standing tall, Seowoon scolds the kid. You never lay hands on an elder no matter the insult. And trust me, you and I are leaving off right as a massive delinquent boss arrives to make everything way more complicated. Let's dive in. The kid Seowoon just totally punted, that's the big guy's little brother. So Muscle Brain glares at him, demanding to know if Seowoon beat his sibling to a pulp. Seowoon just shrugs it off. He says the kid started it by disrespecting his elders first. Our MC literally starts lecturing the guy. He says high schoolers need to learn that smoking in public is banned or else they'll land in serious trouble. Chuckling, Seowoon mocks the brute for not raising his brother right. He admits he might have hit him a little too hard, but hey, it's not like he had any other choice. Seowoon is still casually rambling when the massive guy suddenly throws a heavy punch. Too slow, Seowoon easily sidesteps and counters with a single strike, launching the guy straight into the air. The giant groans in pure agony, spitting up blood. Instantly, Seowoon panics. Oops, he totally forgot to hold back his insane strength. But instead of just staying down, Musclehead loses his mind. He whips out a butterfly knife, screaming that he is going to end Seowoon's life right there. Seeing the blade, Seowoon just sighs. Both brothers are exactly the same kind of crazy. The giant charges and slashing wildly, but Seowoon just weaves right past him. Another frantic swing comes flying in, and our MC evades it without breaking a sweat. Now pay attention here. Seowoon finally realizes that fighting normal humans is just way too easy. Getting totally bored of these messy attacks, Seowoon sweeps low. One solid kick to the foot sends the giant completely off balance. Right before striking back, Seowoon hesitates. He absolutely has to dial back his insane power, because if he accidentally kills this guy, his peaceful life is instantly over. Deciding to use just 50% power, he hits the thug with his signature undefeated palm strike. But even at 50%, it's way too much. The guy gets blasted through the air, smashing into a tree with his face completely wrecked. Everyone watching is absolutely stunned, immediately pulling out phones to record. But honestly, Seowoon is the most terrified person there. He never actually meant to beat the guy up that brutally. Sweating, he awkwardly pokes the knocked-out giant, telling him to quit acting. Then Seowoon glares at both brothers, warning them to strictly behave themselves from now on. Not waiting around for the cops, our MC quickly sprints away from the chaotic scene. Running off, instant regret hits him. Flexing his overpowered stats on normal humans was super risky. If those punks had actually died, his entire future was completely doomed. He quickly realizes he desperately needs proper training just to keep his terrifying strength under control. A whole month passes. We see Seowoon deeply meditating in his bedroom until his mom suddenly calls to check if he has eaten yet. She mentions she is just calling because he hasn't reached out recently, making her pretty anxious. When she asks how academy life is going, he casually replies that it's totally manageable. I mean, he obviously can't confess that he's been grinding martial arts instead of doing homework. You and I know peaceful moments never last. His mom calls with terrible news. His dad was in a bad car crash. Panic instantly sets in. Seowoon totally freaks out, frantically asking her how badly he is hurt and how this nightmare even happened. Crying, she explains it happened during his delivery route. Some absolute jerk ran a red light and smashed right into his father. To make matters worse, the hospital bills are going to be astronomical, leaving her completely stressed out. Then comes the truly heartbreaking part. She quietly asks if Seowoon has any allowance money left over to send back home for the surgery. Trying to stay strong, Seowoon calmly asks for the total cost. His mom admits it's going to be roughly 1 or 2 million won. Reaching straight into his storage space, Seowoon grabs Escrow's necklace. He tells his mom not to panic, hinting he already has a solid plan. Promising to call her right back, he ends the chat and immediately sprints outside. Walking down the street, he remembers his parents constantly moving between cheap rented rooms. His dad always worked harder than anyone alive. But getting older meant his paychecks kept shrinking. Working a completely replaceable job forced his dad to constantly jump between different workplaces. Tears just pour down Seowoon's face. He hates feeling like a burden who only ever caused his struggling family more financial pain. But those days are over. No more being helpless. Minutes later, he marches straight into a high-end jewelry shop asking to appraise the glowing necklace. The clerk inspects the magical item. She admits the craftsmanship is absolutely flawless, but notices it definitely isn't from around here. Seowoon smoothly lies, claiming it is a precious heirloom passed down for 5 generations. Cutting off her chatter, Seowoon just demands to know the exact price. Stunned by the quality, she asks if he really wants to sell it here, warning him it could actually be worth a fortune elsewhere. Seowoon firmly explains that his dad desperately needs emergency surgery. Selling this treasure hurts, but family comes first. He has zero choice. Seeing his desperate situation, and since he totally lacks any authenticity papers, the kind lady decides to bend the rules. Just like that, the deal is completely sealed. Seowoon walks out holding over 10 million won. Trust me, we all felt that relief. With this cash, his parents are finally safe. Alright, you and I are jumping right back in. Seowoon definitely undersold that necklace. The attendance hype proves it, but he needs fast cash, so whatever. He quickly realizes he has to get a lot smarter about pawning off the crazy loot he brings back from the game world. Without missing a beat, he wires the cash straight to his mom and gives her a quick call. Naturally, his mom is absolutely floored by the massive deposit. She immediately grills him about where he got that kind of money. She is panicking, asking if he took out some sketchy loan. Seowoon plays it cool, lying that it's just a bunch of cash he saved up back during his army days. Relieved, his mom apologizes for the burden. But he brushes it off, promising her there is absolutely nothing to worry about, and he will visit the hospital soon. Later on the train ride home, Seowoon overhears some guys hyping up a viral clip. It is literal footage of some random dude blasting a giant fireball out of his bare palm. The whole train is losing their minds over it. But Seowoon, he recognizes that spell instantly from Cloyd Survival. Now watch closely, this is where it gets crazy. Cold sweat drops down his face as he realizes he isn't the only Korean player dragged into this game. Then boom, the video gets wiped from the internet. The guys complain about how it keeps getting nuked seconds after every upload. Cut to some shadowy agency headquarters, completely freaking out over these leaking videos. The boss demands answers, and his underlings nervously explain the truth. The total number of survivors has surged dramatically, making it an absolute nightmare for them to track all these new players. The boss completely loses it, hurling a heavy ashtray right at the guy's head. He screams that their agent count should have increased to match. Plus, he violently orders them to hunt down the idiot who keeps uploading that fireball video online. Clearly, the guy is just an attention seeker. The bleeding subordinate rapidly promises to get it done, but the boss just snaps, screaming at the poor dude to stop bleeding immediately, or he will kill him for staining his expensive carpet. Another agent rushes over to the injured guy, quickly using a healing power on his bleeding head. Finally, the boss barks at his underlings to get out and get this entire mess under control right now. Flash forward a whole month. Seowoon has been training non-stop. He has managed to stack up a solid amount of inner energy, and he is finally getting used to the feeling of it. But there is a huge catch. With his current stats, he can only summon a single shadow clone, and it barely lasts any time at all. Still, Seowoon makes the most of it, using that one clone as an ultra-efficient sparring partner. Sadly, these training sessions end up being super short since the clone just poofs away. It is super frustrating. Back in the game against the Centaur, he was out here commanding 8 shadows at the exact same time. He thinks maybe he burned way too much energy in that final boss fight, leaving his Dantian pathetically empty right now. After wrapping up his night training, Seowoon heads home to cultivate. No point throwing a pity party over spilled milk, right? Feeling his stomach rumble after all that working out, he decides to dig through his subspace inventory just to see if he packed any good snacks. I know what you're thinking, snack time. Nope. While checking his storage, a blinding light flashes and bam, he is suddenly teleported to a crowded game lobby. He looks around the room and spots tons of clueless faces, a massive difference from his brutal first time in this world. As he stands there, wondering if this is actually the real game world again, a huge thank you message pops up on screen. The system coldly announces that the game's official tutorial is about to begin. Seowoon is totally caught off guard. They completely skip the tutorial for his batch. But he smirks. This definitely means lots of easy beginners. Then he glances up. Some edgy high schooler is casually chilling on top of the giant statue. Judging by that classic uniform, the kid is definitely just another ordinary Korean student. Seowoon totally rolls his eyes. The kid is clearly just acting cool to farm some cheap attention, classic modern high schooler behavior. Even so, Seowoon suspects this arrogant kid is a returning player. He just really prays this edgy teen isn't as terrifyingly strong as Nam. A second later, the system declares 200 players are present. The absolute bare minimum goal, just survive into the top 200. The chosen map is the Valley of Contras, and the sweet reward payouts actually start from the 20th rank upwards. Hearing those incredibly loose rules, Seowoon realizes there is literally zero risk of failure here, and with no penalty hanging over him, he's about to play like an absolute psycho. Once the basic tutorial stuff wraps up, Seowoon fully braces himself to drop right into the action, but then a massive curveball hits. The system strictly orders everyone to pair up, announcing that this round is officially a duo survival match. In short, the bloodbath will not stop until only one team remains alive. Stick with me to see this chaos. Even if just one teammate lives till the end, both players get the reward. Alright, you and I are dropping right back into the game, and the system just gave everyone 5 minutes to pair up. Seowoon immediately connects the dots. More players this time around. Yep, that explains the brand new duo mode. But our guy hates random matchmaking. If he gets paired with total trash, they are just going to be pure dead weight. He suddenly remembers that high school kid a solid pick, but when he glances at the statue, the kid is already long gone. Classic. Well, desperate times, right? He decides to just bite the bullet and find literally anyone. He walks around the lobby looking for a partner, but every single person is already teamed up. Talk about awkward. He searched like crazy until the clock hit 0, but came up completely empty-handed. Solo it is then, no time to cry about it because the match officially begins and everyone is instantly deployed into the combat zone. Skydiving down, he spots a bunch of scattered villages tucked in the valley. Perfect loot spots. He locks onto one. His game plan: land fast, loot up, and destroy absolutely everyone. Now watch closely, because the second his feet touch the dirt, 3 whole teams drop right next to him. He sprints straight toward an enemy drop zone. See, after that first match, he practically lived inside his own head, replaying every mistake. Countless mental simulations prepared him for this exact moment. He has literally been itching for round 2 to finally kick off. One poor guy is throwing up from teleportation sickness when Seowoon just casually appears and absolutely decks him from behind. The dude screams, asking why he is getting jumped out of nowhere. Seowoon just ignores the whining and knocks him out cold. Suddenly, a system prompt pops up, finish him off or his duo partner might swoop in for a revive. He loves how brutal this game is. He finishes the job and boom, the angry teammate bursts onto the scene. This new guy is a massive tank. He lunges with terrifying force, sending an instant chill straight down Seowoon's spine. The impact sends him flying back, but he quickly digs his heels in keeping a rock-solid stance to stay upright. Full heavy armor and a massive lance. The tank yells, asking if he killed his buddy. Seowoon just gives him the silent treatment, calculating his next move. Looking at that crazy loadout, he easily figures out this big guy is a total powerhouse in close-range physical combat. But here is the catch. His unstoppable fist technique relies entirely on bare hands. The real big brain question is how to counter guys holding giant spears, bows, or sharp swords. In the real world, blocking weapons unarmed is a death sentence, but he has been doing insane image training for this. I know what you're thinking, he should be terrified. Instead, he just grins, finally getting to test out his crazy technique. The tank thrusts his massive lance forward, and Seowoon dives right into it. Milliseconds before getting skewered, he slaps the side of the weapon with his bare palm, completely changing its path and creating a huge opening. The tank is completely dumbfounded that his attack trajectory just got slapped away. Before the big guy can even blink, Seowoon unleashes a brutal spatial strike, blasting a literal crater right through his armored chest. No hesitation. He shatters the guy's helmet and follows up with a ruthless stomp, wiping out the entire team just like that. The second the tank drops, his chi explodes outward, leaving Seowoon totally stunned by the massive amount of energy. He has to admit absolutely nothing beats the feeling of absorbing pure chi here. One squad down. He does the quick math, there are only 4 poor souls left hiding in his drop zone. 0 time to breathe. A sudden arrow zips right at his skull. He barely weaves out of the way, watching it slam into the wall, then immediately traces the flight path. But before he can even flinch, a second shot flies in. This one is way too close, slicing a bloody line across his cheek. Then comes the full barrage. A whole swarm of arrows rains down, forcing him to sprint deep into the forest, completely amazed by this sniper's insane accuracy. For a split second, he wonders if this monster is Zero. Nah, scratch that. He quickly realizes this mystery shooter is nowhere near as overpowered as Zero was. Weaving through the trees, he wonders if the sniper is totally alone or if a duo partner is chasing him. Honestly though, he doesn't even care. He knows the second he pins down that archer, the hidden teammate will naturally come running out. Hopping onto the village rooftops, he laughs at his own character development. In the previous game, he would totally be camping in a corner right now. But now, he is addicted to that sweet chi. Every player left on this map is basically just a walking fuel pack. Out of nowhere, an arrow punches right through his skull. A clean, fatal headshot. You and I know better, right? The archer gets confused because the headshot landed, but the body completely vanished. Alright, stick with me. This guy totally fell for Seowoon's fake. Boom, Seowoon pops up in his hiding spot. One solid kick sends this sniper crashing straight into the dirt. But wait, Seowoon senses something off. That was not the real guy either. The actual sniper appears behind him, turns out he had an invisibility cloak. He fires a whole volley of arrows, but our boy easily dodges every single one. Panicking, the archer leaps straight out of the building to bail. But Seowoon is right on his heels. He cuts him off instantly. Seowoon just sighs, calling him out for using a stealth cloak in broad daylight like an absolute amateur. He tells him camping would have been a way better strategy. But just as Seowoon goes for the kill, backup arrives. Now he is sandwiched between the sniper and a new guy rocking twin blades. Seowoon kicks himself for not ending the archer when he had the chance. But whatever, right? No use crying over spilled milk. It is officially a 2 versus 1 showdown. Now pay attention. He suddenly realizes he actually holds the numbers advantage in this fight. Crazy, right? As they charge in, Seowoon pops a shadow clone and runs. The archer fires a triple shot, instantly blasting him to pieces. The sniper smirks until the real Seowoon appears right behind him, piercing his chest before he can even blink. Seowoon mocks him. Just because your eyes see something does not mean it is actually real, buddy. 1 down. Now it is just him and the dual wielder left. This sword guy totally thinks Seowoon is some kind of tricky illusion mage now. Seowoon casually drops that he is just a returning student. Want your buddy back, you gotta go through me first. The guy rushes him at insane speed. He promises to crush Seowoon and keep him alive just to suffer until the end. He unloads a brutal double strike, but Seowoon readies a counter. Except that totally backfires. He had no clue this guy was ridiculously fast. Seowoon takes a deep slash instantly and the guy is already behind him. If he had not coated himself in inner energy, he would be dead. The dual wielder turns around. He is genuinely shocked. Seowoon is not sliced in half. Guess you have more than just cheap tricks, he admits. He cockily tells Seowoon he does not know his secret, but his neck is definitely the next target. Seowoon does some quick math. If a one-hit kill is impossible, he needs a perfect counterattack instead. But how do you counter that speed? Let us pause here. He suddenly remembers this round has 0 failing penalties. Since he has nothing to lose, Seowoon decides to pull off a crazy risky move. Instead of trying to track this speed demon with his eyes, he focuses purely on feeling his killing intent. Seowoon shuts his eyes as the attack comes. If he cannot beat this early roadblock, he does not deserve the #1 spot. 2 months of grinding inner energy have turned him into an absolute beast. By the time he opens his eyes, the enemy is already down. He pins the guy hard. The dude thrashes around, screaming about how his ultimate move got blocked so easily. Seowoon just smashes his face into the dirt, and boom, he realizes he just leveled up past another limit. That is 2 teams wiped out, dropping the player count to 196. He happily absorbs the massive energy dropped. Digging through the sniper's loot, he finds a healing scroll and pops it right away. But then tragedy strikes. He sees the stealth cloak got completely wrecked during the fight. That cloak was an easy ticket to the top. Still, he stuffs it in his inventory just in case it is useful later. Searching further, he scores a rare lightning-struck cottonwood bow. This bad boy fires arrows packed with crackling lightning energy. Seowoon is pretty confused by the description, mainly because he did not feel a single shock when those arrows hit him earlier. Plus, he picks up a multi-shot skill book for firing several arrows at once. That explains it. The dead guy was not a real archer, just a noob relying on game skills. Seowoon learns the skill and tests it out. One shot causes massive destruction, proving this bow is way better than the rusty crossbow from his last match. That is where you and I leave him. Time to rest before the real chaos begins. He searches through house after house, but he comes up totally empty. No rare items anywhere. Probably just because they are basic village huts. He was really hoping to score something crazy like a hiding cloak. Stick with me here, because you and I both know the golden rule of gaming. Tall center towers equal epic loot. He sprints straight for it. The front door is completely locked tight, which obviously means nobody else has looted it yet. Slipping inside, he shuts the door firmly behind him to be safe, then begins his climb to the top. A few minutes later, he hits the peak. Nothing. Absolutely 0 useful gear up there. Total letdown. He punches the wall in frustration, annoyed that game mechanics are just completely screwing him over right now. But wait. Down below, he spots 2 players casually raiding the nearby houses like they are playing a single-player game. Seowoon tries to figure out how to wipe this duo, when suddenly they start walking right towards his tower. Seeing the big closed door, they totally assume it is empty. Stepping inside, they instantly spot a healing scroll and take it as a super lucky sign. Seowoon watches from above, suddenly realizing he completely missed that random healing scroll simply because the entrance was literally full of trash. Honestly though, he is actually pretty glad he missed it. It basically served as the absolute perfect bait, and seeing them hype up a garbage healing item, absolute noobs. Now watch closely because he dives straight down to ruin their entire day. Going right for a brutal sneak attack, a dark shadow falls over the guys, and before they can even blink, Seowoon drops right between them. The mage did not even bother casting a shield when he landed. Yeah, this guy is complete and utter trash. He rushes the mage with a heavy punch, but right before the final hit, the guy panics and fires off a flame attack. Seowoon easily sidesteps it, and the blast roasts his own teammate instead. The guy screams in pure agony, demanding to know why he set him ablaze. The mage quickly apologizes, swearing he was actually aiming at Seowoon. Once the flames finally die down, the duo realizes Seowoon is totally solo, so they decide to gang up on him. The burnt dude swings his massive axe, but Seowoon slips past it. He keeps swinging wildly while Seowoon dodges, making him furious. Seowoon smoothly guides the guy exactly where he wants until, oops, the guy accidentally buries his axe right into the mage. He frantically says sorry, claiming it was an accident, and the bleeding mage groans that he obviously knows that. He begs him to pull the weapon out. But before the axe guy moves, Seowoon warps behind the mage and violently caves his head in. I know what you are thinking. Savage right. He literally thanks the guy for the free kill assist. He originally planned to one-shot them both, but the heavy chest armor on the axe guy ruined that idea. Since his armor is off, now Seowoon guesses the guy might actually move faster without that heavy speed debuff holding him back. The furious player swings his weapon hard. Seowoon leaps sky high to avoid it, and the guy stares in absolute terror as a brutal kick descends toward his face. Seowoon bounces back into the air, and the bulky dude cockily shouts that he cannot stay floating up there permanently. The second Seowoon falls back into striking distance, the guy fires off an incredibly massive aura attack. It slices right through Seowoon and nearly tears the building apart. Seowoon honestly admits the guy has insane physical power, but confidently tells him that mindless brute strength is not going to get him out of this mess alive. The raged player charges forward, screaming that he wants to see him keep talking trash once he is dead. Seowoon barely blocks the heavy hit, ramping up the fight. But plot twist, the axe dude is literally just fighting a shadow clone. The real Seowoon is chilling behind him, laughing at him for fighting a fake. Walking casually outside the building, the player finally spots him. He totally freaks out, screaming about how he teleported outside. Seowoon just ignores the crying and stares directly at the stone wall, the guy just heavily damaged with his axe. Seowoon smirks, asking if he wants to see what happens if he kicks the wall. He delivers a massive kick while the idiot is still confused about who he was actually fighting inside. It finally clicks in his slow brain that his opponent inside was completely fake. He lets out a terrifying scream as the entire tower collapses right on his head, pathetically begging for help. Boom, crushed to death instantly. But right after Seowoon realizes a huge mistake, he got absolutely 0 kill credit because the massive falling rubble technically killed him. He curses himself for being a complete idiot and missing that detail. Luckily though, loot chests pop right out of the debris. Thank goodness they spawned, or else he would be digging through rocks all day long like a dog. Opening up the chests, he finally scores big, a massive pile of sweet gear from magic rings to skill manuals. Loot secured. Trust me, you and I will want to see who he totally ruins next. Alright, stick with me, we are diving back into the madness. He scores a mage's robe that blocks rain but offers 0 actual defense. Realizing the play zone is shrinking, he pins the map's center and starts moving. Finding absolutely nothing else of value in these empty houses, Seowoon completely ditches the area. It was a crazy long walk, but Seowoon covers ground lightning fast, by perfectly copying that same footwork technique the old man used. Moments later, a system alert pops up right in his face. He just walks straight into a monster spawn zone, classic game logic. Some maps have heavy spawn areas, plus a massive boss is guaranteed to show up. Take down that big boss and boom, you are guaranteed an epic special item drop. Seowoon notices way more monsters swarming here than the last game. He totally roasts the system for dropping this nightmare on him without any warning. But hey, get this. There are also buff monsters running around out there. Killing these guys gives you a temporary overpowered status boost. Out of nowhere, an ear-piercing screech hits him so hard he covers his head. Turns out 2 players are actively fighting monsters right nearby. While they are completely distracted, Seowoon casually sneaks right up on them. Now pay close attention, this is where the fun begins. It is a mage and swordsman duo. Seowoon readies his bow, completely locked on his target. These two are literally fighting back to back, slicing through monsters. The swordsman is chopping beasts left and right, while the mage just blasts everything to ash with brutal lightning strikes. Whoosh! An arrow shoots out of nowhere, barely grazing the mage's head. The mage instantly panics, realizing it is an ambush. He screams at his partner to drop the monsters so they can hunt down the sniper targeting them, but the greedy swordsman straight up refuses. He says they are too close to finishing the mob, so they should clear it before dealing with the attacker. The mage absolutely loses it, yelling to forget the dumb loot because some random player is about to send them back to the lobby. Seowoon watches them arguing like an old married couple. Naturally, he decides to make things worse. He lets fly another volley of arrows completely wrapped in sparking lightning. The mage barely blocks it. The swordsman orders him to cast another shield. Furious, the mage screams back that he already knows, throwing up a fresh barrier just in time. But looking at the cracks, the mage knows the shield will not last long. He begs his partner to run. Nope, this swordsman is way too greedy. If they bail now, they kiss all that sweet monster-slaying EXP and loot goodbye. He argues the loss is just way too massive. They need to finish clearing these mobs right now before moving anywhere else. Crack. The magical barrier shatters, so the panicking mage throws up a thick defensive wall. The swordsman stares at the giant wall and loses his mind, screaming, "What are you doing? You and I both know this was a terrible idea." For Seowoon, this just made his job hilariously easy. Trapped inside, the mage defends his terrible play. He claims wasting mana on flimsy shields is stupid when a solid wall does the trick. The swordsman points out the painful truth. This makes it worse. Now they are completely blind to where the sniper is. The mage insists the attacker cannot climb over it, but the swordsman snaps back that he literally just broadcasted their exact location to the entire map. The stubborn mage just tells him to shut up and keep fighting until the wall vanishes. While they scramble to kill the last monsters, the swordsman swears he will instantly disband their team if the mage ever pulls a stunt like that again. Well, the wall immediately proves completely useless as a massive rain of arrows suddenly drops from above. They barely dodge the first wave of death, and the swordsman desperately asks if he can dispel the wall right now. The catch, it takes 5 whole minutes to vanish. Outside, Seowoon grins, pulling out a magical scroll set for a 10-second delayed explosion. He triggers the deadly scroll and firmly attaches it to an arrow. 5 seconds down, he shoots it right over. The duo is still bickering like idiots when the arrow drops between them. Boom, a massive shockwave shatters the entire area. One surviving monster snake lunges straight at Seowoon through the smoke, but he effortlessly one-shots it. Slowly, the bloody swordsman crawls from the rubble. But honestly, he probably wishes he died. He looks up directly into Seowoon's aimed arrow. Seowoon casually thanks them for voluntarily building their own coffin. Thanks to their absolute stupidity, he is eating good tonight. The swordsman knows it is over. He just shuts his eyes tightly as Seowoon fires, finishing him off instantly. A loot chest spawns right away, confirming the mage got completely wiped out in the initial blast. Digging through their dropped gear, he finds the 7-star cultivation manual, the literal foundation of the legendary 7-star sword art. So what do you and I think he chooses? The system offers to swap out his white physique arts, but nope, Seowoon rejects it completely. Alright, you and I are jumping right back into the loot pile. The manual trash, but the rest promising. Digging through the guy's chest, he finds Tokar's ring. Ah, so that is how he survived the blast. Next up, Seowoon scours the rubble for the mage's chest. Jackpot. He pops the chest open and literally celebrates. Escrow's necklace is his. There is also a grimoire, but it is way above his current pay grade. Looting done, he casually wipes out those snake monsters that gave the previous guys trouble. Honestly, he is disappointed those two struggled against such weak mobs. Wait, what is this? The dead monsters actually dropped items. He scoops up something called Tears of Lamia, classic crafting material usually needed for crazy magic experiments or forging some high-tier gear. Boom, another drop. Tyrant's necklace. It gives a nice little agility boost. The necklace, definitely useful right now, but those monster tears, absolutely zero clue what to do with them. Seowoon finds a quiet spot to cultivate his inner energy, scheming about taking down the boss monster for a massive advantage. But is he actually strong enough to solo a boss? Plus, he has to wonder, are the other players plotting the exact same thing right now? Day 2 hits. He checks the active player count and gets a shock. 60 people have already bitten the dust, and out of those 60, he only bagged 8 of them. Not impressive enough. Time to head to his center map marker. Trudging through the boiling desert, Seowoon really starts missing the chill weather from the very first game phase. It is ridiculously hot. He seriously regrets not waiting for the sun to set before making this brutal trek. Wait. He looks up. A giant bird is flying past carrying a chest. Oh yeah, that is definitely a supply drop. Seowoon doesn't even hesitate. He sprints after it like a madman and actually gets there first. But then the system drops a warning. Open this and a giant red light will broadcast your exact location every 30 minutes for 6 whole hours. Watch closely here. He takes the risk anyway, popping it open and hoping the loot is worth putting a massive target on his back. Before he can even peek inside, boom, a massive red beam lights him up. His location is completely compromised. Panic mode activated. He needs to grab every single item in there and vanish before the entire server shows up. But the very first item absolutely blows his mind. No way. It is the legendary Cloak of Hiding. Next is a red cloud pill. It is a crazy spiritual elixir that boosts inner energy, but the downside, it leaves you paralyzed for 10 hours. Then he grabs a 4th circle stone. It unlocks high-tier magic mastery, but just like the pill, it completely immobilizes you for 3 whole hours. He also snags the Windblade Grimoire, an epic skill manual that lets you literally run like the wind. Speed scales with internal energy, but reality hits. The cloak is completely useless during daylight, and he definitely cannot afford to be paralyzed by those pills right now. Still, if he can just manage to survive the next 6 hours, these rewards are totally game-changing. No time to waste. Seowoon instantly learns the Cloud Stride skill, so he can get the heck out of the drop zone. Skill unlocked. He blasts off, cutting across the scorching desert at absolutely insane speeds. I know what you're thinking. Easy, escape right. Nope. He senses enemies rushing his location, though they're far enough that he might just slip away. But he cannot drop his guard. He has zero clue what kind of crazy tracking skills these guys are using to hunt him. Time for a quick distraction. Seowoon leaves a fake chest box in the open and hides, praying they take the bait. The 2 hunters stumble right onto the chest. Before they even realize it is a trap, they find those weird tears of Lamia inside. Looks like we are dealing with a weird duo here, a Roman warrior and a magic user. The Roman guy totally buys it. He assumes Seowoon just panic looted and sprinted off, so they start tracking him in the completely wrong direction. Hook, line, and sinker, Seowoon grins from his hiding spot, thrilled they fell for such a basic trick. The clock is ticking. He has exactly 30 minutes to put some serious miles between them before the beacon goes off again. 30 minutes later, he takes a breather. But when he pings his detection magic, the number of players actively hunting him has multiplied. They aren't breathing down his neck yet, but they are getting way too close for comfort. Are they all swarming the map's center? Suddenly, the red beacon flashes again, and seconds later, massive, terrifying fireballs start raining straight from the sky. Seowoon dives out of the blast zone, barely dodging an explosive, fiery death. Reality check. These players are catching up at an absolutely terrifying speed. He underestimated them. Are they using some high-level movement skill? Nope. The duo bursts through the flames and Seowoon completely freaks out. They are riding freaking horses. With them rushing him down, Seowoon instantly fires up his shadow clone technique to stall. But the clones get shredded in seconds. Now the duo is just pissed off, charging at him with absolute killing intent. The warrior hurls a spear right through his defense. So what do you and I make of this? This survival game just got incredibly deadly. That spear barely misses his head, leaving a clean cut right across his face. It slams into the dirt, and Seowoon instantly grabs it. He channels his inner energy and just launches it straight back at them. You and I are about to see exactly why you don't mess with our guy. The warrior gets clipped, armor shattered, arm impaled. Yeah, he quickly realizes Seowoon isn't joking around. He tells his buddy they'd be totally screwed if Seowoon actually had a team backing him up. Just as Seowoon faces them down, arrows suddenly rain in from behind. He narrowly dodges the volley, but the poor horses take the fatal hits instead. Before he can even catch his breath, another deadly volley whizzes right past his head, completely finishing off the mounts. He spins around and spots a brand new squad of archers crashing the party. And guess what? He is trapped right in the dead center of it all. Seowoon is sweating bullets now because getting squeezed in a classic pincer attack is literally the absolute worst-case scenario. Both rival squads are just hanging on the edges, now awkwardly waiting to see who is actually going to make the first move on him. Catching on to their hesitation, Seowoon starts mocking the archers loudly, asking where all that big talk went. He points out the obvious math. Out of the 3 factions standing here right now, 2 of them are definitely leaving in body bags. He quickly realizes the archers actually want him to join their squad just so they can steamroll the warrior duo with 0 effort. Because if they take him out first, it turns into a 2 versus 2 fight, and absolutely nobody wants to risk those odds. So he knows they want to force a 2 versus 1 situation, making it super easy to just betray and finish him off later. Now watch this. This is where he pulls a complete genius move, just waiting to see who takes the bait. The meathead warrior starts screaming at the enemies to bring it on, but the mage frantically begs him to chill since yelling insults literally helps nobody right now. Seowoon notes, the guy has guts but 0 brain cells. The archers immediately fire back a nasty threat, swearing that absolutely no one from the kingdom is leaving this place alive today. Turns out these archers are actually elves. They promise to totally spare his life, but only if he agrees to fight on their side. Watching these guys beef, Seowoon realizes there is some crazy deep lore in this world he missed. While both sides desperately try recruiting him, he casually pulls out the 4th circle stone. He looks at the mage, basically hinting that he knows exactly how valuable this is. He glances at the elves, adding that they could easily sell it for an absolute fortune. Then he shocks everyone by dropping the stone and pitching his wild idea. He says whichever team wins this fight gets to keep the stone. He claims it is way fairer than him just picking favorites. With the seed planted, Seowoon instantly jumps out of the danger zone, leaving the absolute idiots to slaughter each other. I know what you are thinking. Giving up loot. Trust me, it is bait. Nobody can even activate a circle stone in under 6 hours anyway. It is honestly a super cheap price to completely distract 4 dangerous enemies at once. Plus, whoever actually survives will obviously chase him down later, so he will just take it back. Sprinting across the harsh desert, he remembers something awful. His live location will be broadcasted on the map for another 5 whole hours. Minutes later, he finally reaches the dead center of his marked map. Turns out it is a massive canyon, and he is seriously stressing that a boss monster might just randomly spawn from below. Suddenly, that annoying red tracking light shines on him again. That is when it hits him. 30 minutes just passed, and before he can even react, those exact same guys he ditched earlier suddenly show up. The angry mage immediately blasts a massive fireball right at him, but right before impact, Seowoon instantly triggers his phantom step. He spawns a bunch of fake clones to buy some precious escape time, but they all get completely roasted. Even Seowoon catches some of the blast, screaming out in pure agony. The explosion violently expands, totally wiping out the entire surrounding area. When the smoke finally clears, the warrior starts yelling at the mage. Now they cannot loot Seowoon because he fell straight into that giant canyon. The mage awkwardly admits he probably should have dialed back the firepower. The mage suggests they bounce before that giant light attracts a crowd. The warrior asks if they are skipping the loot, bragging that he does not mind since he already has a rare item. Yeah, the warrior actually owns a chainsword. It is this insane, high-powered blade that acts exactly like a whip shape-shifting to absolutely dominate anyone from long range. Hearing this casual flex, the mage suddenly panics, realizing he is totally falling behind because he literally has 0 rare gear. So the greedy mage tells his buddy to wait right there while he floats down using his levitation magic. But the warrior immediately shuts that down. They have no clue just how much crazy treasure Seowoon dropped down there. The warrior demands to tag along, and the mage sarcastically asks how a guy with 0 magic plans to descend. The stubborn warrior just growls that he will figure something out. So what do you and I make of this? The genius warrior literally ties a rope to the floating mage to climb down. Classic dumb manhwa logic, right? Stick with me. You and I are about to drop into a canyon where a mage threatens to cut his teammate's rope. Panicking, the warrior begs his partner not to drop him under any circumstances. but the mage just laughs jokingly, saying they will see about that. The warrior is absolutely stunned. How can his own teammate talk this kind of trash right now? Here is the catch. Levitation magic makes mages totally defenseless, since they cannot cast other spells at all, making it extremely risky. Only top-tier mages can actually cast different magic while floating in the air. They carefully head down, and the mage announces they are almost at the bottom. The warrior screams back. It is easy for him to talk when he is not the one falling, but the mage snaps back, reminding him he begged to tag along. Out of nowhere, the rope goes totally slack, and the warrior shrieks in terror. He clings to the wall, cursing the mage for pulling such a crazy stunt. But when he finally looks up, his partner is already dead. The guy's upper half is completely sliced off from the rest of his body. Just brutal. The warrior cuts the line and the corpse splashes into the water below. Wait, water. He realizes there is a giant lake. He cannot believe they were stressing out when a giant cushion was waiting at the bottom. So he just happily dives right in. He pops his head up completely relieved until a tiny detail suddenly hits him. Now watch closely. He totally forgot to check who actually murdered his freaking partner. Before he can react, Seowoon is right there with his main body still hiding underwater. The warrior completely freezes, utterly shocked that Seowoon is still breathing. Seowoon lunges with a bone-breaking strike, but the warrior refuses to die easily. He activates his chains, launching a deadly long-range weapon straight at Seowoon's head. But Seowoon simply grabs the sword and lets it wrap tightly around his arm. The sharp chains slice his flesh incredibly deep, but he holds on firmly. Grabbing the warrior's face with his free hand, Seowoon whispers that he never should have hunted him without accepting death. With insane force, Seowoon dunks him deep underwater, then blasts his inner energy to literally shatter the guy's skull. The kill feed immediately updates as he wipes the squad, right after he drags their loot chests up to land. Seeing how insanely heavy these chests are, Seowoon decides underwater battles are probably not his best strategy moving forward. Rifling through the sweet loot, he discovers a fire orb that blasts a sealed magic spell wherever you throw it. He also scores the Phoenix Strike, a crazy Circle 4 technique. It launches a flaming bird that grows bigger mid-flight. Since the circle requirement is so high that Dead Mage was seriously powerful, you and I both know it would have been absolute hell if Seowoon had not ambushed him while he was completely defenseless. Seowoon happily pockets the chainsword even though he literally has 0 sword skills right now. Suddenly, he feels a presence nearby. In a flash, he vanishes before the new enemies arrive. The rival players run up to find an empty loot spot. But boom, Seowoon drops in behind them, instantly crushing one guy with a fatal punch. He stayed invisible thanks to his cloak of hiding. Just like that, he finishes the team off. A few hours later, his exact location pings on the map. Seowoon has been busy slaughtering players, dropping the total count to 101. Soon, those 2 annoying elven archers show up. But honestly, they do not even last a minute before Seowoon totally deletes them. The 6-hour handicap ends. Seowoon whips out the 4 circle stone and red cloud pill, hunting for a safe spot to boost his stats. Finding the perfect hideout, he takes a breath. Absorbing both magical items is going to take a solid 6 hours. He does not care, though he desperately needed a break anyway. He swallows the elixir first. 6 grueling hours pass. Stepping out of the dark cave, he feels his body rapidly adjusting to the massive power surge. Plus, night has already fallen. The pitch-black darkness is his absolute playground now. Checking his stats, he sees a decent bump. But man, it is still nothing compared to when he absorbed Nam's pure energy. Almost immediately, he spots fresh players walking in the distance. 0 hesitation. He charges straight at them, treating every single player like walking fuel for his level-ups. He hunts non-stop until dawn before checking the count again. It is absolutely wild. The lobby is down to 42 players by day 3. So what do you and I expect next? The system just revealed the boss locations on screen, meaning absolute chaos. Let's dive right back in. So bosses sit in purple zones while buff monsters chill in red areas. Seeing a red marker super close by Seowoon figures he might as well go check it out. The trip is super risky, sure, but our guy isn't about to just ignore a free buff. A few minutes later, he arrives, and he nearly bricks himself when he sees the buff monster, a terrifying massive snake. Looking at its absolute godlike size, Seowoon realizes it would take at least 6 full squads to beat it. But before he can nope out of there, the beast snaps its eyes open. Busted. The giant snake hisses aggressively at him, and Seowoon is way too terrified to even twitch a muscle. He freezes completely as the monster slides dangerously close. But then, out of nowhere, it just calms down and goes right back to sleep. Seowoon is totally confused. Why the sudden chill? He guesses it probably only attacks if you step into a specific aggro zone. He realizes it would have been absolute game over if that snake had struck first before he even pulled out his weapon. Seowoon happily tiptoes away, totally lying to himself that he wasn't scared at all. Minutes pass, 0 players in sight. He honestly can't believe everyone is already hiding and playing it safe on day 3. Suddenly, he senses someone hiding in the woods. Boom, he completely shreds the trees in front of him using a huge wind blast. Right after the dust clears, he hears a little kid crying in the distance and goes to investigate. Shockingly, he finds a terrified little boy hiding in the bushes. Seowoon quickly apologizes, noticing the kid looks totally beat up and exhausted. Now watch closely here. While Seowoon is checking on him, the kid's so-called partner sneaks up behind swinging a massive sword. Seowoon casually sidesteps the blade and hits him with a brutal palm strike, launching the guy flying through the air. The ambusher coughs up blood as he violently slams back first into a tree. It clicks instantly. This total coward teamed up with a crying child just to lower people's guard and backstab them for easy loot. Seowoon calls him the absolute worst trash in the entire game, realizing the kid is covered in fresh scars, barely patched up by healing scrolls. The scumbag smirks, admitting Seowoon is stronger right now. But hey, he plans on stealing all those stats the second he kills him. He whips out a high-tier flame orb that detonates the second it hits. Boom, the orb connects, setting off a massive explosion. The smoke hasn't even cleared yet, and this clown is already bragging about how expensive his item was. Then the smoke fades. Seowoon's voice cuts right through the quiet, totally mocking the guy for relying on cheap items to fight his battles. Surprise, surprise. Seowoon's magic resistance stats are way too ridiculously high to take damage from a pathetic fire toy. The player completely freezes in terror. He can't believe this monster just tanked a Circle 3 spell like it was nothing. Before the trash can say another word, Seowoon violently slams his face into the tree bark, giving him payback for abusing the kid. Seowoon digs his fingers in, mercilessly crushing the guy's skull right against the wood. Seeing this absolute brutality, the boy panics. He grabs his own head, terrified that this monster of a player is going to execute him next. But Seowoon just turns and asks for his name super gently. The boy stammers out that he's Lyle. Honestly, it breaks Seowoon's heart seeing a literal child trapped here. Seowoon softly asks if this is his very first survival game. Lyle nods, crying that he was literally just walking home from school when he got randomly teleported into this nightmare. Seowoon tells Lyle there is absolutely no way he's leaving him out here to die. Reaching deep into his spatial storage, he hands the starving kid a bag of beef jerky and casually drops a super rare Circle 4 stone. Seowoon smiles, explaining that he's already a Circle 4 mage himself, so he really doesn't even need the item anymore. He tells Lyle that stone should be more than enough to protect himself, especially since most of the heavy hitters are probably already wiped out. Turning to leave, Seowoon throws a peace sign, telling Lyle that if he just manages to stay alive, a real opportunity will eventually come. Tears of pure relief stream down Lyle's face as he bows deeply, thanking his savior for a second chance. You and I both know why. 2 months ago, Seowoon was exactly like that helpless kid before meeting Dutch. Without the old man, he would have been dead day one. Suddenly, a system alert pops up. The duo of Hayami, Ren, and Drift have officially surrendered against the area boss. Seeing that exact name, it clicks instantly. Ren is that same cocky high schooler he spotted in the starting lobby. Since they just escaped a boss fight, Seowoon knows they must be completely exhausted. It's the perfect time to ambush and eliminate them before they heal up. He tracks their coordinates on the map, but wait, to his absolute shock, the boss monster is already dead. But wait, Ren and Drift are definitely not the only ones there. A whole bunch of other surviving players are on the scene, aggressively screaming about some broken alliance agreement they made for the boss raid. One furious warrior claims they had a solid deal, but Drift totally backstabbed them and kill-stole the boss for the final reward drops. Drift just smirks, telling them to all attack at once. Trust me, you're going to want to see this next. Alright, let's dive right into this wild manhwa. Ren, rocking that hood, is absolutely flaming his team for having zero loyalty. Then this lady in traditional gear steps up. She tells Ren to stop trash-talking the guys who fought beside him. She makes it super clear the only thing that actually matters here is the loot from that boss. She asks if he is splitting the loot, but Ren shuts her down fast, saying there is barely enough so nobody gets a cut. Since diplomacy failed, she instantly declares war. She straight up says she is killing them all for those sweet rewards. Meanwhile, Seowoon is hiding, watching this whole mess. Honestly, he is just wishing he had some popcorn for this absolute clown show. Out of nowhere, Ren randomly starts screaming for someone to come out. Seowoon is super confused until Ren literally name-drops him. The guy claims he can hear him and tells him to show up. Ren brags that hiding is completely useless. Seowoon just sits there thinking this dude is absolute trash. Ren reaches into his inventory loudly, lying that Seowoon promised to help if they handed over the boss heart. He threatens to just give the heart to the mob if Seowoon does not show his face right this second. Seowoon does not even flinch. He knows this faker is just using his name to scare off the other greedy players. To sell it, Ren pulls out a glowing bag, claiming it is the ant heart. Seowoon immediately cracks the code. Ren saw his name on the server kill feed and is totally milking it for free protection. Ren drops the bag on the dirt, yelling that Seowoon has permission to slaughter everyone. Now watch closely. The rest of the players are completely stunned seeing him drop something so valuable. But the lady in the traditional dress tells her crew to chill, promising an equal split of the shiny loot. In a flash, Drift and Ren just bolt. The mob completely ignores them to check the glowing bag instead. Total chaos erupts among the greedy players, but that lady instantly dashes into the woods after Ren. Since the group is an absolute mess, Seowoon decides it is time to have some fun too. Running through the forest, Drift complains to Ren. He asks how long they have to keep running since cardio sucks. Drift admits his fists are seriously itching for a brawl. Hearing that Ren finally decides to stop running away. Turns out the native dress lady and a few others are already right behind them. Ren tells Drift to wait for his signal to launch their counterattack. Drift is totally hyped. He has been waiting forever to smash something. A few seconds later, Ren leaps up to a high tree branch and waits. He tells Drift to keep that annoying lady busy while he rains magic down on the rest of the mob. Ren suddenly blasts a massive high-tier lightning spell right at the chasing crew. The victims scream as electricity fries them. The lady is completely stunned by his area damage. She ducks behind a tree, just as Drift swings his massive weapon. But wow, she casually blocks the heavy strike with solid ice. She jumps back to dodge again. That is when Drift realizes thick frost is completely restricting his giant hammer. Drift gets super mad at this annoying debuff. He violently breaks the ice and lunges at her, but she counters with advanced magic that literally shatters his fingers. Seeing his tank taking massive damage, Ren panics and immediately drops another heavy lightning strike on her. You saw that too, right? She casually grounds the raw electricity, just completely flexing her insane strength. The lady smugly brags aloud. She explains how coating her body in chi reduces damage, letting her control the energy flow straight into the dirt. Even though it takes master-level control, it is absolute child's play for her. Meanwhile, poor Drift is just groaning in pain. She stares Ren down, promising to end his life since she has completely figured out his magic. She lunges right at him. Ren panics and spams more lightning. She laughs, saying that garbage won't work, casually redirecting it into a tree. Ren is absolutely losing his mind over this insane defense. Since she closed the distance, Ren realizes he has to fight her in close quarters. He opens his inventory, pulls out a sharp blade, and takes a wild swing. She blocks the strike, but her eyes widen in pure shock. A squishy mage using actual martial arts. Ren shoves her back. At that exact second, a system pop-up distracts her. Seowoon just wiped out her ally. That one tiny mistake leaves her open. Ren violently stabs her chest. She jumps back bleeding. Ren says it is game over. But wait, she starts rambling about Seowoon. Trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. But before she can even finish her sentence, a literal arrow flies right through her head, dropping her instantly. Stick with me here, this impact is insane. It shatters Drift's armor, leaving Ren and his buddy completely frozen in pure shock. Seowoon finally steps out of the shadows. He looks at Ren, basically asking how he had the guts to drag his name through the mud. Ren absolutely loses his mind, realizing he is staring down the infamous Seowoon. And our guy just coldly asks if he really thought running his mouth wouldn't have deadly consequences. He casually aims his bow right at Ren, demanding he hand over the ant's heart. Ren scrambles, claiming he already tossed it to the other group as a decoy. But before that pathetic lie even lands, Seowoon fires. The arrow violently rips right through the side of his face. Seowoon warns Ren to stop playing games. He already knew that cheap magic trick was just to enchant a totally empty bag. Honestly, Seowoon says he doesn't even have the patience to argue right now. He will just slaughter them both and search their dead bodies for the heart himself. Drift gets way too confident and lunges straight at Seowoon, shouting not to underestimate a true warrior of Thistle. He actually mocks him, claiming a simple bow user is absolute trash compared to a close combat expert like himself. But Seowoon effortlessly dodges the sloppy strike, instantly launching a brutal counterattack that literally rips the guy's head clean off. Seowoon just sighs, genuinely amazed at how incredibly weak the guy was after all that trash talk. Now watch this closely. Ren is panicking, stuttering as he asks how many times Seowoon has played this game. Still aiming his bow, Seowoon calmly drops the bomb. It is only his second time. Hearing that, Ren instantly jumps to the conclusion that Seowoon is a total noob. He screams at him, telling him to drop the cocky attitude if this is barely his second run. Ren unleashes a massive lightning attack, but before that blast can even dream of connecting, Seowoon's arrow explodes right through his skull. And just like that, Ren and his partner are done. Surprisingly, looting Ren's remains gives Seowoon way more inner energy than Drift did. Seowoon figured Ren was just a squishy mage, but looking at these stats, the guy definitely had some real martial arts training under his belt. Digging through the loot chest, Seowoon figures the odds of bumping into another player from his own world are pretty much zero. Suddenly, something insane catches his eye inside Ren's stash. It is a literal golden weapon box. This is an ultra-rare drop from boss monsters, and opening it gives you a totally random special weapon. Seowoon is absolutely hyped, realizing he just scored an unbelievably rare item. You and I know how gacha luck works, right? He pops it open, the box glows blindingly bright, and his expectations skyrocket. But reality hits hard when the light fades. He gets a weird little weapon named Elsius Hammett. He was genuinely praying for something epic, maybe a legendary sword or a golden bow, but instead he just pulls a total dud. Deciding his luck is just garbage, today he is about to toss the thing into his inventory when it suddenly starts talking. The weird little ball shifts into its true form, revealing itself as an actual living weapon spirit called Elsius Hammett. Seowoon looks completely unbothered. He just flatly asks the spirit if it plans on fighting his battles for him, but Hammett quickly clears things up proudly, explaining that he can morph into literally any weapon form Seowoon could possibly want. Secretly, Hammett is super confused. Most people would be screaming or crying tears of pure joy after unboxing a legendary spirit like him. Trying to hype himself up, Hammett asks about his fighting style, promising to transform into the absolute ultimate weapon for his master. Deadpan, as always, Seowoon says he doesn't really use weapons. Hearing this, Hammett naturally assumes his master is a bare-handed brawler, so Hammett instantly shifts into a massive heavy gauntlet wrapping around Seowoon's fist, bragging that this form can shatter absolutely anything. But Seowoon instantly rejects it. It is way too bulky, and that heavy metal is just going to ruin his archery stance. Annoyed but eager to please, Hammett quickly adjusts, shifting into a sleek, flexible, dark gauntlet built completely for speed and movement. Yet somehow, Seowoon still hates it. Hammett finally loses his patience, complaining about why his new master has to be so picky. Seowoon sighs, deciding the best place for this loudmouth is back in the inventory. But Hammett completely freaks out, screaming that a legendary item shouldn't be tossed away, begging Seowoon to just name the weapon he wants. Seowoon actually stops to think about it for a second. Then he drops a bombshell. He wants something super durable, basically a flexible piece of cloth he can wrap around freely. Hammett is absolutely horrified that his master wants him to be a simple rag. Unfazed, Seowoon points right back to the inventory if the spirit has a problem with his brilliant idea. Defeated, Hammett caves and literally transforms into a dark sleeve. Surprisingly, Seowoon is thrilled with this, even though the legendary spirit is practically crying inside. Seowoon tightly wraps the new sleeve around his forearm, patting it, and telling Hammett to be a good boy from now on. Hammett is completely stuck in this form. Trust me, you and I definitely want to see what happens next. Hammett reveals that's not his only trick, leaving Seowoon completely stunned that there is even more to it. Stick with me here because a daily roulette pops up letting him cast any spell completely ignoring the magic rules. Hammett explains some drops are absolute game changers, like a literal revive spell. Seowoon is totally blown away. Coming back from the dead, that is an absolutely insane ability, but there is a catch: he has to roll it first. Seowoon eagerly asks to spin immediately, and Hammett gives the green light. But suddenly, Hammett gets a really bad feeling. He senses massive killing intent, locking right onto Seowoon. Seowoon instantly wonders if the other survivors managed to track him. Feeling zero energy, Seowoon asks for a direction. Hammett cannot pinpoint it exactly, but swears his gut instincts are never ever wrong. Shifting gears, Seowoon whips out the airboard he looted from that mage earlier. Apparently, this thing is a top-tier ride, used only by elite magic users. But Hammett screams at him, yelling that this is absolutely no time for a chat. Seowoon figures playing dumb might bait the stalker out. Hammett reads this thought, admitting it is smart but way too risky. Wait, what? Seowoon is completely shocked that Hammett reads minds. Now watch closely because right as Hammett explains, their mind link, a massive double barrage of fireballs and arrows blasts Seowoon. He screams in pure agony, crashing heavily into the dirt. The sniper finally steps out, joined by a mage from the other side. She quickly points out a major issue: his name is not in the kill feed. Since he clearly survived the blast, she tells the archer to hurry up and finish him. The archer tells her to run magic detection just in case allies are hiding nearby. Then the dude steps up to put a point-blank arrow right through Seowoon's head. But nope, Seowoon snaps his head up and casually catches the arrow bare-handed. The attacker absolutely panics as Seowoon crushes the projectile like a twig. Smirking, Seowoon actually praises Hammett's defensive buff for keeping him so durable. Terrified, the archer leaps back, screaming at his partner to unleash all her magic. But Seowoon is way faster. He summons his chainsword, lunging forward in a blur, and slices clean through the guy's neck instantly. As his life fades, he is left completely baffled, wondering if Seowoon somehow fired from a distance. Seeing her partner get deleted, the mage hops straight onto her broom and speeds out of there. Seowoon just stands there amazed. A literal flying broom escape, that is a first for him. Hammett explains that is exactly how elite witches travel, asking if they are going to chase her down now. Seowoon shrugs it off. He has zero interest in pursuing someone who looks that weak. After grabbing the loot, Seowoon figures this survival match will wrap up in just 2 days due to the low player count. You and I both know things never go smoothly. Fast forward to day 20, and the player count has not dropped by a single person. Bored out of his mind camping in a tree, Seowoon pulls out the airboard. Hammett sighs, asking if it is patrol time. Seowoon grumbles that he has no choice. Everyone is camping, so he has to flush them out. Hunting was easy until day 5, but right now, finding even one person feels like an absolutely impossible mission. For the last 10 solid days, he has been flying around, desperately scouring for any hidden cowards. Exhausted from the endless search, Seowoon begs Hammett to see if he can sense any nearby auras. Hammett awkwardly replies, he got nothing. The whole map is completely dead quiet like yesterday. Seowoon instantly roasts him, joking that he thought he scored a premium radar, but Hammett is actually totally useless here. Defending his pride, Hammett argues that without any active bloodlust, his enemy detection skills are pretty much jammed. The play zone already shrank down to a sixth of its size, but there are still way too many hiding spots. Hammett tells him to chill out because people will show up eventually. But Seowoon tells him to look at the bigger picture. His name dominates the kill feed. If it comes down to an 11 versus 1 final circle, he is completely screwed. He has to thin out the herd right now before they can team up against him. Hearing the logic, Hammett suggests a wild alternative: stop wasting time and go hunt the Black Argon instead. Seowoon asks what a Black Argon even is. Turns out it is the massive regional buff monster, and Seowoon absolutely loses his mind. And trust me, you and I know there is zero chance he fights a boss snake solo. Stick with me here. Hammett pushes him to just go for it, swearing he absolutely will not lose to some overgrown snake. Seowoon double-checks. Can he really take this thing down? And his trusty companion gives him the ultimate green light. Cut to the other players. They are completely sweating it out against this massive boss, and honestly they almost have it beat. But wait. They suddenly feel Seowoon heading straight for them. Total panic mode activated. They rush to land the final blow before our MC crashes their little party. Hammett warns him that their mana radars are totally going off, but Seowoon just smirks. He already knows. He jumps right into the danger zone, fully aware that these guys are probably sweating bullets over his arrival. Landing on the scene, he takes one look around. Every single surviving player is gathered right here. Classic main character luck, right? Getting targeted again. Sighing, he reaches straight into his inventory and pulls out his bow. While one dude is busy slicing the boss, Seowoon snipes him in the back with a lightning arrow. The stun leaves him wide open, and Chomp the Snake finishes him. Everyone absolutely loses their minds. They know exactly who is raining down this chaos. The only problem, they cannot figure out where that shot originated. One guy screams to ditch the boss hunt entirely. If they keep ignoring the sniper, they are getting completely wiped out. Suddenly, an arrow flies straight at our guy, forcing Seowoon to dodge and swap positions. The leader barks orders at the mages. Cast detection spells immediately, and make killing Seowoon priority number 1. Watch closely now. Seowoon sees they actually have a brain cell among them, so he decides to wrap this up fast. He pulls the bowstring back, pouring absolutely every single ounce of his raw energy into it. Boom! A direct headshot on the beast. It shrieks in pure agony as pure lightning fries its system, completely deleting whatever tiny health it had left. The mob just stares in complete disbelief as the monster drops. Everyone starts screaming, demanding to know who stole the buff. And then the system notification hits. Seowoon got the kill. Now he is rocking a massive 30% stat boost for 10 whole days. Do they run? Nope. These fools decide to rush him all at once, thinking they can still crush him since 30% is not god tier. So our boy drops down from the branches to say hello. Absolute chaos erupts. His very first strike gets bounced back, making it totally clear. He needs to shatter that annoying magic barrier right now. Bam! He absolutely decks one of the casters, instantly taking him out of the game. First blood goes straight to our main character. With enemies closing in from every angle, he ditches his cloak. It is just getting in the way anyway. He can see them hesitating, refusing to rush in until they figure out just how ridiculously strong he really is. Target acquired the caster with 0 defenses left. Wasting absolutely 0 time, Seowoon launches himself into the air, diving straight at the helpless guy. But the enemy tank spots this and starts screaming his lungs out, ordering everyone to defend the caster at all costs. The squad snaps back, making it clear they only follow orders, so they can survive this absolute monster of a common enemy. You and I both know these guys are usually selfish. Seowoon is genuinely shocked seeing them actually work together for once. Right before he reaches his target, they form a solid human shield to completely block his incoming strike. Cute try, but totally useless. Seowoon flexes his raw power and smashes straight through their defensive line. The tank's shield shatters into pieces, but 0 time to chill, a martial artist slashes at his back out of nowhere. He barely dodges a fatal hit, realizing the enemy's blade is actually a crazy stretching whip sword. Time for a counterattack. He forcefully shoves the sword guy back, but honestly, he is still pretty stunned by how perfectly this random squad is coordinating. Suddenly, our boy is completely boxed in between 2 incredibly dangerous fighters. Realizing he is a second away from getting sliced open, he quickly orders Hammett to shapeshift into exactly what he is picturing. Hammett instantly morphs into a massive shield, absorbing the worst of the impact, though Seowoon still catches a nasty cut across his face. But that tiny opening is all he needs. He delivers a brutal hook straight to the big guy's head, instantly deleting him. Doing the quick math, Seowoon realizes there are only 8 annoying targets left standing. Then a caster speaks up. They know exactly how insane his reputation is, and guess what? They brought a very special trick just for him. The blonde leading the mages smirks, claiming she has literally been saving this exact moment for him. Flash, she blasts him with magic point blank, and the second it connects, our MC knows he messed up big time. It is a brutal curse. A massive 40% stat reduction locked in for 30 whole minutes. So what do we learn here? Always eliminate the mage first. Now painfully weakened, the mob immediately rushes in to finally crush our guy. Let's jump right in. Seowoon isn't about to just sit back and let these players farm him for fun. He immediately fights back, kicking the first guy square in the chest. But the guy blocks it easily, confirming exactly what he suspected: the mage's nasty debuff spell is actually working perfectly on him. This hyped up the group to rush him all at once, so Seowoon tries to dodge by leaping straight into the air. But out of nowhere, a massive flame attack blasts him right back down to the ground. Seowoon realizes he is barely surviving right now only because that 30% buff he got earlier is fighting off the 40% debuff from the mage. If he hadn't scored that 30% stat boost from the snake monster, that mega flame attack would have easily wiped him out in one single hit. He quickly does the math he has to take out the witch to break this annoying debuff. The squad actually praises him for surviving their ultimate attack, but they definitely aren't slowing down as they pull their weapons and switch straight into close combat mode. Seowoon clicks his tongue, regretting that he didn't just assassinate the annoying leader right away with a clean surprise attack when he had the chance. Out of the corner of his eye, he notices Lyle just standing there, doing absolutely nothing. Suddenly, one of the mages fires off a heavy strike that knocks Seowoon flat on his back. They start choking him out so he can't dodge anymore. And just when he thinks he's completely finished, a brutal stone attack bursts from below, slamming him painfully into the dirt. Watch closely, the close combat fighters rush in fully, ready to finish him off for good. But at that exact second, Lyle steps up and obliterates the debuff mage, blasting her away with a lethal wind attack. Instantly, the nasty debuff magic completely shatters. Freed from the curse, Seowoon regains his speed and perfectly dodges the incoming fatal strike. He counters with a devastating punch to the leader's chest, blasting a massive hole right through him. The guy dies in absolute shock, knowing Seowoon shouldn't have had that kind of power. Sitting up, Seowoon realizes it was actually Lyle who just saved his life. Knowing his own end is near, Lyle tells Seowoon to win the game. Suddenly, another player backstabs Lyle, dropping him dead on the spot. Watching the kid fall, something inside Seowoon just snaps, and pure violent rage completely takes over. He only handed the kid a few items earlier, so he never expected to actually care this much about what happened to him. Filled with insane fury, Seowoon tears through the remaining players, punishing them for daring to murder a kid without a second thought. His mind is just racing, totally consumed by blinding rage, and before he even realizes what he's doing, he slaughters every single person on the battlefield. He finally snaps back to reality when a giant congratulatory message pops up announcing that he actually won the game. I know, right? Even Seowoon is completely shocked that he somehow won the entire game. Then he notices all the leftover chi floating around and tries to absorb it, maybe even snag some loot from the chests. But the system aggressively blocks him, flashing a message that the match is officially over. The screen shows he earned 240 coins and secured the title for the most kills. On top of that, he gets a sweet 100 coin bonus. And since he hit the top 5 twice in a row, the game tosses in another 15 extra coins. Seowoon is absolutely mind-blown seeing his total hit 355 coins, especially since he only scraped together 140 coins during his very first game. Suddenly, Hammett starts hyping himself up, bragging that Seowoon only won because of his help. Seowoon admits the guy was useful but brutally shuts him down, calling his performance totally mid. Turns out buying Hammett costs 100 coins and the guy practically begs Seowoon to pay up. But Seowoon is incredibly blunt, telling him there is zero chance he's dropping 100 coins because he is way too overpriced. Hammett argues back, claiming that getting a magnificent being like him for 100 coins is a total steal. Seowoon isn't buying it, pointing out way better items like the Cloak of Hiding that only costs 70 coins. Honestly, he's actually leaning towards trying his luck on that awesome golden weapon box from the shop list. Right then, the system chimes in, reminding him he gets a roulette spin just for making it into the top 5. But taking first place means he gets to spin the roulette 3 whole times. Seowoon really prays for top-tier loot on his first spin, while Hammett desperately hopes to get pulled himself. Just like before, he pulls Escrow's necklace, but he doesn't stress too much over it since it still holds some decent value. The roulette spins again, and Hammett becomes the happiest guy alive when Seowoon actually pulls his token on the second draw. Hammett celebrates like an absolute madman, thrilled that he doesn't have to rot inside that annoying box anymore. Seowoon, though, looks a bit disappointed because he really wanted that golden weapon box. Still, he accepts it's not a terrible deal, considering he just saved himself a clean 100 coins. For his final spin, he scores a fragmented secret tome, an item priced at 60 coins. He is honestly surprised it's that expensive, but it makes him wonder how many more pieces he'll need to collect the complete set. And that's where we leave it. Seowoon finally spends his coins on a 4-circle stone. Let's dive right back in. He grabs an Iceland spellbook, a vital essence pill, Tokar's ring, and the cloak of hiding. He's got 49 coins left, saving them for the next crazy game. His shopping spree finishes, and the system basically just wishes him luck surviving next time. Boom, back to reality. Seowoon spawns right in the park he vanished from. But plot twist, 2 random hikers are staring right at him. They are absolutely horrified looking at this dude covered head to toe in blood. Panicking Seowoon immediately drops the worst lie ever. He claims it's just fake blood for a movie shoot nearby. Internally, he is screaming. If he has to deal with this NPC encounter every single time, it'll be exhausting. He finally drags himself home. It's only been 2 games, but the massive power spike, oh, he can definitely feel it. He peels off his bloody jersey and tosses it in the trash. A moment of silence for his absolute favorite shirt. No time to waste. He sits down, whipping out the 4-circle stone. 6 grueling hours later, the stone and the red cloud pill are fully absorbed. Just like last time, his entire room turns into a literal blazing sauna. Seowoon jumps up feeling completely refreshed. His mana and base stats definitely spiked, but he needs to check the exact numbers before grabbing some well-deserved food. He pulls up his status window and his jaw drops. The boost to his inner energy and mana is insane. Now watch closely, because you and I both know leveling up this fast after 2 games means the next rounds are going to be absolute madness. He's just dreaming about dinner when Hammett suddenly screams, demanding to know why he's being completely ignored. Sighing, Seowoon pulls the guy out of his storage space, desperately begging him to keep the volume down. Hammett complains about being stuffed in the inventory. Seowoon shuts him down fast. Great abilities or not, the weapon is way too annoying. Hammett instantly gets defensive. He claims he's a super rare legendary weapon, so the chatter is completely justified. Ignoring the tantrum, Seowoon just pulls out his phone, asking his budget voice assistant for nearby Chinese takeout spots. Hammett absolutely loses his mind when the tiny metal box talks back. Seowoon casually flexes, letting him know that in this modern world, talking tools are basically everywhere. He completely shatters Hammett's ego. A talking weapon, cool, but not that special on Earth. Hammett fiercely argues back. It's not just the talking, his insane combat power is what makes him a legend. Seowoon casually shoots that down too. He can't even tell Hammett to transform into a massive long sword here, because in this world, you actually need a permit for that. Let's pause. What on earth is he supposed to do with this needy weapon? Hammett quickly suggests an easy fix. He can just turn into a sleeve, wrapping his hand exactly like in the game. Seowoon immediately vetoes the idea. Walking around in public with some weird cloth wrapped tightly around his hand, people would definitely think he's crazy. So Hammett shifts into a full-blown robe, proudly asking how it looks. Seowoon groans this is somehow 10 times worse. He's literally seconds away from dumping him back into subspace, but then Hammett panics and becomes a necklace. Seowoon nods. A necklace, yeah, he can rock that. Hammett breathes a massive sigh of relief. Plus, this necklace secretly acts as a killing intent radar. Right on cue, the delivery food arrives and Seowoon totally devours the meal in seconds. He is so ridiculously happy. Finally, some real food because he's been surviving on tasteless, dried game meat for ages. Hammett gets curious, asking how it tastes. Seowoon savagely reminds him that swords don't have mouths, so why does he even care? Hammett grumbles that he's just trying to understand his totally heartless master. Seowoon just stands up, grabbing his stuff to head out. The weapon asks where they're going. Seowoon coldly points out that since Hammett is attached to his neck, he'll find out soon enough. With that sorted, Seowoon heads straight to his old stomping grounds, the local internet cafe. The cafe attendant is genuinely shocked to see his face. It's been forever, and he asks if Seowoon fell off the grid. Playing it cool, Seowoon lies about being slammed with school prep, saying he just dropped in to kill some time. The guy mentions they're hosting a massive Loyal Ground tournament next week, asking if the former regular is interested in joining the fierce competition. Seowoon casually rejects it, saying he found a much better game. Sitting at the PC, Hammett whispers, asking what the heck log even is. Seowoon smirks, explaining it's basically a cheap, low-budget knockoff of Cloud Survival. Honestly, after experiencing the insane life-or-death thrill of Cloud Survival, standard games are just incredibly boring now. The real reason he's here, he's hunting for clues to track down Ren, that crazy high school kid he partnered with during the last match. He knows for a fact other players exist in the real world. And inevitably, some attention seekers are going to post about it online. Stick with me here because things are about to get sketchy. Turns out, these players communicate deep inside the dark web. Navigating through a weird decoy site, he finally uncovers a hidden survivor's message board. Jackpot. Alright, stick with me here. The second he clicks that icon, a massive prompt smacks him. Are you a survivor? Sweat dropping, he hits yes. What kind of insane mess did he just walk right into? The site's layout, a dead ringer for the game interface. Seowoon instantly knows whoever built this is a hardcore cloyed survival vet. Suddenly, a chat window pops up. The message, "Get lost if you're just here to play games." He quickly realizes it's an automated bot, built specifically to weed out trolls and fake players. Does it need some kind of secret password? Or maybe a hidden pattern to reply? He asks for the password, but the bot just tells him to screw off. It even casually mentions it already tracked his exact physical location. The bot roasts him, saying he has zero business on the dark web if his security is this pathetic. Honestly, Seowoon is just amazed by real hacker skills. The bot warns him to shut his PC down immediately. He refuses. The bot asks if he's scared. His response, not even slightly. He is way too impatient to care, he just wants inside right now. Fine then. The chatbot challenges him to prove he is an actual survivor. Now pay attention to this part. He is completely stumped until an image flashes right across his monitor. A scrambled puzzle. One look is all it takes, that is the iconic statue from straight inside the game. He can't believe this was the big test. Seriously, he's annoyed they didn't just make it this simple from the very beginning. He clears the puzzle in seconds. A prompt pops up telling him that the authentication was totally successful. He is officially welcomed into the site. The admin asks for his current run count. Seowoon dodges the question entirely, claiming that info is just a bit too personal. Surprisingly, they back off. They send him a fresh login ID, promising that their top-tier hackers will protect his identity 24/7. He snaps a quick picture of his new credentials so he won't get locked out later. Finally logged in, he starts scrolling through the forums trying to figure out his very first move. He clicks straight into the beginner tips section. First major tip is terrifying. World governments are desperately scrambling to control ability users. Under zero circumstances should any player ever reveal their real powers out in public. Tip 2 drops another truth bomb. He is far from the only player out there, and those numbers are rapidly multiplying daily. Basically, don't get cocky. You aren't special. Even worse, shady private groups backed by the government are actively hunting down fresh beginners. They will use absolutely any extreme methods required to stop ability users from causing mass public chaos. Seowoon instantly starts sweating. This isn't just a warning, it is a literal bounty on his head. But there's good news too. If he wants to offload game items, special broker websites exist. Crazy rich dark web buyers from across the globe will purchase stuff directly. He can easily use these black markets to turn loot into real cash. Lightbulb moment, if he plays this right, he could be making some seriously massive passive income soon. Curious, he clicks over to the marketplace to check the street value of his own inventory. Scrolling the listings, his jaw drops. There are countless insanely rare items he has never even heard of. Case in point, a witch's elixir. Bidding is at 20 million won and the buyer is incredibly desperate for it. I know what you're thinking, that's insane money. But wait till he finds an item bidding for 100 million won. It is a court empire failed ointment that literally cures baldness. 100 million. He mentally files that away for later. Browsing deeper into the community, the weird obsession with player run counts finally makes total sense. There are literal bodyguard bounties. 10-run players pull millions a month, while 30-run absolute monsters can literally name their own blank check. Higher run count equals god-tier status. Then he clicks a trending post. It is crying about a 13th-run hybrid mage getting totally humiliated by a second-run rookie. He checks the username. Posted by none other than the high school mage. Hey, that's his victim. The comment section is in absolute denial. Everyone is just blindly trash-talking Seowoon, calling it fake news. Since the guy is currently active, Seowoon decides to slide straight into his DMs. Ren freaks out and asks him directly, "Was it seriously just your second run?" Seowoon drops a very simple yes. Confused by the massive overreaction, Seowoon asks why being a second-run player is such a huge deal. Ren loses his mind. It is a huge deal. Being that ridiculously overpowered after barely playing twice is fundamentally impossible. Ren admits he honestly assumed Seowoon was a fixed player. Blank-faced Seowoon just asks what that even means. That one single question instantly proves to Ren that he is talking to a complete and utter noob. So what do you and I take from this? Everyone starts free but hit the right requirements, and you unlock fixed status. Alright, stick with me here. That free tutorial match actually happens only once, but almost nobody notices. In fact, it took Ren 13 whole tries to finally catch on. Ren practically begs for his contact info, swearing he can teach Seowoon a ton of tricks since he is technically still just a total beginner. Our main character is totally caught off guard. He instantly suspects this guy just wants to settle their in-game score with a real-life fistfight. Seowoon flat out says he cannot just trust him like that. But Ren fires back, making a massive promise that he will never regret this. Why so desperate? Because Ren is about to rank up to a fixed player, meaning he absolutely needs a solid permanent team to survive. Seowoon has zero clue what a fixed team even is, so Ren immediately suggests they meet up offline. Seowoon drops a location and Ren swears to be there in an hour. Walking away, our boy seriously starts questioning his own life choices. 60 minutes later, Seowoon pulls up to the spot. Right on cue, some random guy on a massive bike arrives. The engine is roaring so insanely loud that everyone around thinks this dude is just shamelessly showing off. His face is totally hidden behind a helmet. Watching this unfold, Seowoon is honestly just impressed by the sheer audacity of riding that monster into a packed street. He figures it is just some spoiled rich kid. But then the biker suddenly whips his head around to stare. Seowoon totally freezes. He immediately panics, thinking he stared a little too hard. Watch closely because here is the twist. He yanks off the helmet, boom, it is Ren. He casually drops that he is the high school mage from the game. Seowoon is absolutely stunned. After all, you do not meet a guy you literally murdered in-game every single day. Still, the kid has a highly punchable face. They grab seats at a nearby cafe, and Seowoon bluntly demands to know why they had to do this in person. Ren skips the small talk completely. He looks Seowoon dead in the eye and asks to team up. Seowoon sighs, reminding him they already covered this online. The problem, he still has no idea how parties actually work. Ren keeps rambling loudly, pointing out they are both free players. Panicking, Seowoon frantically tells him to shut up before the whole cafe hears their crazy gaming talk. But Ren just smirks. He taps a strange pendant on his chest, claiming they are totally safe. Turns out it completely blocks out their voices. Mind-blown, Seowoon instantly asks if he pulled a game item into reality. Nope, Ren explains it was actually crafted right here in the real world by an alchemist-class player. At that exact moment, Ren realizes Seowoon is still an absolute beginner at this. Ren gets curious and asks about his scores. Seowoon casually mentions he grabbed second place, then secured first on his next try. Ren loses his mind, saying back-to-back top ranks are basically a myth from the forums. Seowoon just shrugs it off, claiming pure dumb luck. Ren admits he barely hit top 5 once, and he has almost been forced to retire more times than he can count. Confused, Seowoon asks what retiring actually means. Ren grimly clarifies it means permanent elimination. Miss the cut and your account is gone. You can never log in ever again. Anyway, Ren brushes the dark stuff aside. He is way more hyped about locking down a permanent team with our boy. Seowoon asks if teams are strictly for fixed players. Ren nods, explaining you can actually build a squad of up to 8 elite members. The crazy part, the whole squad spawns in the exact same lobby no matter where they live. You and I both see where this is going, right? Seowoon asks if they are teaming up, and Ren confirms it. They chat a bit more, then finally head out. Walking home, the sword spirit Hammett pops up, reminding him Ren was literally an enemy. He thinks teaming up is super sketchy, but Seowoon just laughs it off. It is only a game, and he holds zero grudges. Plus, he genuinely thinks having a teammate who actually listens to orders is a massive win. Hammett keeps nagging about the red flags, but Seowoon stays chill. Everything is a gamble anyway. Suddenly, the mood drops. Hammett senses pure killing intent, locking onto Seowoon, warning him about 3 ambushers. The spirit instantly offers to manifest as a weapon to slaughter them. But Seowoon smirks no need. These 3 are such absolute trash they cannot even mask their own weak presence. Without looking, Seowoon pinpoints exactly where each loser is hiding. Having them locked down, he arrogantly tells the rats to crawl out of the shadows. Busted, the 3 thugs step out, acting super tough. They mock Seowoon, warning him not to run his mouth against real killers. Unbothered, Seowoon coldly demands to know what they want. The bald leader scoffs at his cocky attitude. He threatens Seowoon, telling him to quietly cooperate if he values his bones. One look is all it takes. Seowoon realizes these are those pathetic beginner hunters from the forums hunting fresh meat. Hammett practically begs to shift into weapon form for some fast payback. But Seowoon says no, they are not worth the effort. He unleashes a terrifying aura, and that is where we leave it. Never mess with a pro player. Let's jump back in. Seowoon gives this squad one simple choice: turn around right now and nobody gets hurt. The squad leader tries playing mind games, hoping Seowoon drops his guard when he says the government officially labeled him a terrorist. Flashing his supposed state authority, he strongly suggests our guy should just play along. He says fighting back just proves the terrorist charge. Apparently, just flexing superpowers in a normal neighborhood is already a massive crime in their books. But Seowoon isn't fazed at all. He casually promises that if they back off, he won't smash them to pieces. Plus, if they seriously want him to come along, they better bring a real warrant. He isn't dumb enough to follow random goons without official paperwork. Big mistake. One idiot completely loses his patience and launches a sneak attack from behind. Naturally, Seowoon reacts faster than lightning. He whips around, throwing a brutal punch directly at the guy's face, but stops completely dead at the last millisecond. Just a little taste of absolute dominance. He coldly reminds the squad that they were the ones who pulled weapons first. The leader immediately realizes they just walked straight into a trap, totally chewing out his rookie for being reckless. Seowoon basically laughs. It is honestly insulting. They thought a small squad could hold him down. Does he seriously look like some weak beginner to them? Now watch this flex. Suddenly, multiple Seowoon clones surround the entire trio and they finally realize they messed with the wrong guy. Their intel completely failed them. They thought he was just a solo player with zero backup or special tricks. Seowoon drops a final warning: never cross his path again. If they can manage to just leave him alone, he will happily stay completely off their radar too. Before vanishing, he drops some free advice: next time, actually measure your opponent's real strength. One lackey actually asks if they should track him down. The leader shuts that down fast: don't be stupid and provoke an absolute monster. They decide backing off is the only smart play. Meanwhile, his companion Hammett asks a very fair question: wouldn't it be way easier to just wipe them out now to avoid future headaches? But Seowoon sighs. Straight-up murder is still a major crime in this reality. Back at his place, Seowoon seriously debates if it is already time to pack up and move. He is honestly baffled about how they even tracked him down. His best guess, dropping that fancy necklace off at the pawn shop, probably left a massive paper trail. Whatever the reason, he makes a firm promise. If those lapdogs come sniffing around again, he will show them his true power. Plus, after chatting with Ren earlier, Seowoon confirmed one very important detail. For a guy only on his second survival run, his strength is absolutely broken. His coin stash actually beats out veterans doing their 30th run. Seowoon vows to spend every last coin getting stronger so he stays right at the top. He realizes the survival game and real life aren't so different after all. He grinds out his cultivation, meditating the entire night away until the sun finally peeks through his window. You know what sucks though? He barely gathered any inner energy. Real-world training is just way too painfully slow. Time for Plan B using Ren's special method. Back at the cafe last night, Ren bluntly pointed out they were total strangers with zero mutual trust. So Ren suggested a simple fix. They should just train together until the next death game starts. When Seowoon asks how that works, Ren explains the obvious truth: you can actually level up your system skills through hard practice in the real world. The only catch: no public park training. High-level teams literally rent out private islands just to spar safely. Training together builds solid teamwork and levels them up at the exact same time, an absolute win-win for both of them. Ren fully admits Seowoon completely wrecked him last time, but he promises he is still a highly skilled player, even if he lacks that godlike strength. They swap numbers, sealing their shaky little alliance. Seowoon honestly never expected he would need to call the guy so freaking fast. But with government agents knocking, Ren is the only game expert he can actually ask for advice. He dials him up, dropping the bomb that government lapdogs literally showed up at his door. Ren is absolutely shocked. Hunters tracking a player on just their second run, Seowoon asks if that isn't completely normal, and Ren hits him with a hard no. He asks if Seowoon did anything remotely suspicious. Seowoon confesses about selling that fancy game necklace at a random pawn shop. Ren gets it. He admits he brings one back every single run for easy cash. So how does Ren avoid leaving a massive trail? Simple. He completely melts the items down into raw gold before selling them to anyone. Seowoon is genuinely impressed. Turns out his new partner has plenty of clever shady tricks up his sleeve. Ren offers to hide his tracks using proxy accounts. Trust me, we are definitely going to want to see what this duo does next. Turns out, before Cloyd Survival even snatched him up, this guy was a legendary hacker on the dark web. Trust me, you and I would be just as shocked as Seowoon. Ren is absolutely insane in the underworld. Seowoon asks when training kicks off, and Ren casually says tomorrow. Cut to the next day, Seowoon is standing exactly at the bus stop where Ren told him to wait. Ren rolls up on his bike. He tells Seowoon to hop on so they can grab some quick supplies near their training spot. Seowoon is super curious about this mysterious location. Ren just casually drops that it is going to be about a 1-hour ride. When Seowoon asks for the exact address, Ren literally reveals he bought a whole mountain in the suburbs just to build a gym. Seowoon's jaw hits the floor. He desperately has to ask just how filthy rich is this kid. Ren smugly asks if he actually looks rich, and honestly, the whole flex just subtly pisses Seowoon off. He swears to himself that on his next game run he is hauling back serious valuables. Because right now, holding onto a high schooler's waist on a bike just feels absolutely pathetic. 1 full hour later, they finally hit the mountain. But wait, there is a massive fence blocking it. Ren hops off and tells Seowoon they have to hike the rest of the way on foot. Seowoon is still reeling. Buying a mountain and fencing the whole thing, he openly mutters about how insanely convenient it must be to have that kind of cash. But Ren shakes his head. He tells Seowoon he's got it all wrong. He is just a hardcore, profit-focused gamer. Every single asset he owns came straight from the loot he pulled out of the game. As they sprint toward the hidden training center, Seowoon still asks if he didn't just use his parents' money for this. Ren just smiles and says it is a long story. He explains that thanks to his deep web hacking, he actually knew all about Cloyd survival way before getting his official invite. Get this, he only extracts items with real-world value. Now I know what you're wondering. After 13 whole survival games, Seowoon asks exactly how much cash he has made. Ren casually listed off 2 houses, this whole mountain, some random real estate, and a healthy stock portfolio. On top of that, he has about 80 million yen in pure cash saved up. Seowoon literally cannot believe his ears. Hearing that completely absurd amount of money makes him lose his balance entirely, causing him to faceplant hilariously right into the dirt. Finally, reaching the gym, Seowoon spots a massive glowing crystal right in the dead center. He immediately asks if Ren dragged that thing out of the game too. Ren explains, it is a barrier stone. Once you turn it on, absolutely everything inside its radius goes completely invisible to the outside world. Seowoon looks totally confused and asks why he didn't just spam it inside the game. Ren clarifies that a real-life alchemist crafted it using game materials, meaning it basically can never be taken back inside the game world. Seowoon is genuinely shocked to learn that bringing real-world items into the system is completely impossible. Ren drops some lore. An advanced subspace ring can drop items in fixed-player games, making it the only possible loophole for this rule. So basically, Seowoon figures you have to be a fixed player first to get one. Starving Seowoon suggests grabbing some food, but Ren immediately demands a sparring match instead. Ren whips out his staff with a smirk. He admits that ever since taking that brutal loss in the game, he has been training like crazy. Ren suggests they clash right now just to gauge each other's current strength. Watch closely now. Seowoon is totally stunned. Ren wants a rematch, but Ren coldly warns him holding back is going to hurt. Hamd asks if he should transform into a weapon, but Seowoon calmly tells him to just watch for now. Boom, Ren kicks things off with a massive lightning strike, but Seowoon instantly launches himself into the air to dodge. Diving straight at Ren, Seowoon tries to end this match in one single blow, but Ren perfectly deploys a magical barrier. The attack gets blocked dead in its tracks. Seowoon genuinely admits this is the absolute toughest shield he has ever hit. Ren smirks, bragging that his barrier scales directly with his magic power, making it practically unbreakable. Leaping backwards, Seowoon openly admits this kid leveled up insanely fast in no time. He confesses he always thought mages who just spammed random spells were total trash. But seeing this level of power, yeah, it looks like he actually needs to take this fight seriously now. Seowoon instantly pops his shadow clones. They all rush Ren at once, but the mage ruthlessly fries every single one with lightning. Using the distraction, Seowoon closes the gap loudly, reminding the kid that he isn't the only one here who can use magic. Seowoon blasts a deadly ice lance straight at him. Ren barely throws up a flame wall arrogantly, shouting that trash magic won't ever kill him. Out of nowhere, Seowoon is right in his face, throwing heavy punches, but Ren dodges with crazy elegance. Seowoon admits his physical skills are great for a mage. But wait, Seowoon's legs suddenly get locked in an icy trap. Ren laughs, guaranteeing he won't escape an advanced Earthbinder restraint spell that easily. Ren heavily boasts that he isn't like those generic mages who only know a few basic spells. Ren charges a massive lightning strike to finish it. But you and I know better. Mid-celebration, he suddenly feels a light tap on his back. He whips around in absolute shock, only to find Seowoon smiling. Alright, let's jump right into the madness. Ren completely panics, asking Seowoon how he teleported behind him. Turns out, he just attacked a clone. Ren is absolutely mind-blown. He did not sense a single thing, even from that close. Seowoon casually mentions he has been practicing hiding his aura lately. When asked how good his stealth is, Ren straight up admits it. If they were in a real fight, he would not even notice Seowoon coming. Seowoon smirks, telling Ren that just means his inner energy control is still lacking. Ren asks if the guy was holding back. Seowoon nods. Yes. Ren lets out a massive sigh. Reality check hit hard. Fighting Seowoon alone is basically suicide. But Seowoon actually praises him, saying his magic power has massively leveled up. He asks if Ren popped a high-tier mana stone. Nope. Ren reveals it is all thanks to a custom staff crafted from materials dropping in the last game. Get this. It boosts magical damage by a crazy 90%. Plus, it can hold up to 5 stored spells. Hearing this, Seowoon totally loses his mind, making a ridiculously overpowered item using regular game materials. Absolutely insane. Sadly, Ren admits he cannot actually bring it into the game yet. But the second he becomes a fixed player, it is game over. Seowoon is completely speechless. He has never seen a broken item like this in his life. Seowoon guesses it is worth maybe 200 coins. But Ren hits him with some knowledge. Coin prices do not always match actual item power. In Cloyd, you can scoop up most gear for dirt cheap, except for specific rarities. That is exactly how someone like him flips a tiny budget into huge profit. Ren explains that players who drop out of Cloyd survival usually pivot to alchemy for pure crafting. Honestly, they find it way more fun. They get to make massive stacks of money safely. Best of both worlds. Seowoon just shrugs it off. Hey, to each their own right. Anyway, Seowoon tells the guy it is finally time to grab some food after sparring. Curious Ren asks how many coins Seowoon has banked. The answer, just a little under 500 coins. Ren practically falls over in pure shock. Wait a minute, Seowoon is actually the loaded one out of them both. But Seowoon bursts his bubble. He traded almost everything for elixirs and gear. Broke again. Ren starts ripping into him. Did he really just blow all his items on raw stat boosts? Total waste. With 500 coins, he could have built an absolute empire. Seowoon claps back instantly. He tells Ren that his level is stuck in the dirt because he is too obsessed with hoarding money. Ren sighs. Yeah, okay, the guy actually makes a fair point. Now pay attention to this part. That sketchy organization tracking Seowoon, they just reported back to their boss, a massive, terrifying dude named Tatsuya. Flipping through his underlings' reports, Tatsuya quickly realizes one thing. This Seowoon kid is absolutely worth watching. They still do not know his real identity or hideout yet. The only lead, he sold that escrow necklace at a random pawn shop. Back up on the mountain, Seowoon is grinding hard, completely focused on maxing his shadow clones. He pushes himself past his absolute limits. But soon he hits a wall. 7 clones is the absolute max cap. Trying to summon more is literally impossible. While he is sweating it out, Ren is running his own intense training arc, blasting magic spells literally everywhere across the field. Seowoon watches in pure amazement. Ren is casually spamming high-tier destruction spells like they cost 0 mana. And even with that crazy output, Ren thinks he can push harder. Seowoon eventually yells at the guy to pause the training arc so they can finally eat. Fast forward a few minutes, and he is serving up hot ramen. He shakes his head, annoyed that he got stuck on kitchen duty since day 1. Then Seowoon notices Ren chatting on the phone with someone for a while. He smirks, assuming it is a secret girlfriend. Ren quickly shuts that rumor down. The person on the other end is his little sister. Seowoon does not miss a beat to tease him. He jokes that rich kids have it easy keeping their families happy with 0 effort. Ren quietly replies that he and his sister are super close, mostly because she is his only family left. You felt that right? Seowoon instantly freezes up in pure shock. Ren calmly explains that it is just the 2 of them now. Their parents tragically passed away back when he was in middle school. Massive guilt hits Seowoon like a truck. He asks why Ren never mentioned it. Ren brushes it off. It is a depressing story anyway. He did not even care that Seowoon jokingly called him a spoiled rich kid. Turns out, his parents died in a drunk driving crash. The nightmare happened exactly 4 years ago from today. Suddenly, distant relatives who never bothered to call came crawling out of the woodwork at the funeral, trying to take total control. The worst part, Ren later discovered those same relatives shamelessly pocketed all the funeral condolence money. One day, his little sister asked him to invite their aunt to Parents' Day. Ren just snapped. And trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. Stick with me here. Ren regrets yelling at his sister, but losing your parents, yeah, that completely breaks a mind. Plus school was pure hell for him. He got violently beaten down every single day only to come home to the crushing pressure of trying to keep his family alive. Eventually, he just gave up. Locked himself in his room, endlessly scrolling the darkest corners of the web. But down in that digital darkness, he discovered something huge. He was an absolute hacking genius. That is how he first discovered the survival game. At first, he thought the whole thing was a total joke, but the deeper he dug into the data, the more obsessed he became. He desperately prayed this weird game could fix his ruined life waiting for an invite. But nothing ever showed up. Then reality hit hard. The lease on the home his parents left behind finally expired completely. They were kicked out of their nice city apartment and forced into a depressing tiny semi-basement out in the suburbs. His trashy uncle blamed inflation. The actual truth, that scumbag had secretly stolen their entire housing deposit for his own selfish gain. Right then and there, Ren realized a cold, hard fact. It was just him and his sister against absolutely everything. One night, he finally snapped. He ran outside, screaming at the sky, demanding to know why the gods kept torturing them. Now pay attention, because this is where everything changes. Right while he was crying, completely broken, boom, the survival game invitation finally popped up. Flash forward 2 years. Seowoon casually asks if he ever got sweet revenge on his old high school bullies. Ren shrugs it off, saying they went to different schools, so he never even bothered hunting them down. Honestly, revenge is a luxury he cannot afford. If he gets thrown in jail, his little sister is completely screwed. He admits that leaving that awful town basically saved him. But Seowoon knows the real truth. Things improved because Ren finally stepped up and started taking control of his own life. Seowoon then wonders if abandoning his sister for a month is safe. Turns out she is chilling with their super reliable aunt. She is currently on a long break, casually helping out around the family fruit orchard. With story time officially over, Seowoon tells him to get back to training. A few weeks later, at National Security, we see Manager Naruse absolutely losing her mind on her junior operatives. She is furious. They hunted ability users without permission. That reckless garbage just pushes people straight into the resistance. The agent stammers that they were just following upper management. Big mistake. Naruse violently slams her fist into the desk. She snaps that hiding critical mission reports is basically spitting right in her face. This foolish guy tries making a lame excuse about delays. So Naruse, she literally smashes the entire table in half. You and I both know she is terrifying. The agent collapses in pure panic as she steps closer, asking if he thinks she is stupid. The room realizes the big boss is completely bypassing Naruse secretly, using private squads to hunt users. No wonder she is beyond mad. Honestly, Naruse should be sitting at the very top by now, but getting powers ruined everything. She got demoted and forced to babysit these useless low-level rookies. She storms right out of the wreckage, screaming that a disciplinary hearing is definitely happening. She points dead at Yosha, the lead agent, suspending him from all active duties until further notice. Back in her office, Naruse connects the dots. Upper management is 100% planting sneaky spies to watch her. She scoffs, wondering how long these cowards plan to keep playing this game. Thanks to her shiny new powers, she is completely isolated. Even worse, her boss treats her opinions like total garbage. Meanwhile, it is day 23 on the mountain. Our boys have finally locked into a solid training rhythm together. Seowoon even drops a rare compliment, telling Ren his combat skills have massively leveled up lately. But despite the massive upgrades, Ren still gets absolutely wrecked by Seowoon every time. Still, Seowoon reminds him that growing this strong without his magic staff is seriously impressive. Plot twist, Seowoon leveled up too. He can casually summon 8 clones now. Anyway, time for a final mountain meal. Ren jokingly asks if this guy literally only eats ramen. Seowoon just shrugs, saying he missed it during the death game. Ren agrees it definitely beats dry jerky. And Seowoon, he insists that adding eggs turns it into a high-class feast. Seowoon flexes, finding it hilarious that he got totally jacked on just a ramen diet. But Ren smiles, dropping a little secret he heard. So what do you and I learn from this? Mastering inner energy gives you insane muscles and basically makes you superhuman. Let's jump right back in. Seowoon is totally stunned. There's actual research on this stuff. He reminds Ren that a new semester starts soon. Ren just casually mentions he has a massive mountain of work waiting at his company. He basically ditched everything to train in the mountains. Sure, it is a small business, but nothing runs without the boss, right? Seowoon completely loses his mind. A whole company. Wait, isn't this guy literally still in high school? Ren realizes he totally forgot to bring up his little online storefront hustle. You can't just turn otherworldly loot into direct cash without setting off alarms. The money is too huge. So most players just set up shell companies. The business runs at a loss, but the system rewards easily cover the difference. He tells Seowoon to keep that trick in mind when the big bucks start rolling in. Mind blown again. Seowoon realizes that the more he finds out about Ren, the sharper this kid actually gets. Then Ren drops another bomb. He already sorted out a new apartment for Seowoon and his stuff is already moved. Seowoon is completely speechless. Why would you just do that without asking? Moving houses like that must have cost an absolute fortune. Ren admits the neighborhood isn't the safest, but it is a huge 3-bedroom spot. The deposit alone, 20 million yen. Now pay attention here. Ren explains they can't risk his identity leaking, especially with so many crazy enemies hunting them down. Seowoon just has to ask why drop 20 million on a guy you barely know. Still reeling from the shock, he says Ren really didn't need to go this far. But Ren just waves it off. Think of it as a loan to pay later. 20 million isn't casual pocket change, but Ren smirks, entirely confident that Seowoon will easily earn it all back during their very next game. Once they finally finish eating, the two pack up all their gear to leave. Just like that, the brutal 3-week training camp ends. Seowoon realizes things are actually looking up. Ever since joining this wild game, he upgraded from a trashy little room to a really nice 3-bedroom apartment. Walking through the front door, Seowoon admits the place is way bigger than he imagined. Ren laughs, saying it only looks that huge because there is 0 furniture yet. Ren asks if he hates it, but Seowoon quickly says no way. He is just totally amazed because it is massively bigger than his old home. To top it off, Ren offers to buy him 1 home appliance as a housewarming gift. Seowoon's brain short-circuits. The kid just slammed him with a 20 million debt and now he wants to buy him free gifts too. Still, he thanks him for literally everything and tells him to go catch up with his sister. Ren really saved his life out there. The second Ren leaves Hammett surfaces, demanding to know why he was sealed away for an entire month. Seowoon explains he needed solo training. Meanwhile, Hammett is just totally shocked that Seowoon's living situation upgraded so fast in barely 30 days. Long story, Seowoon sighs. He sits right down to sort through his loot, trying to see what he can sell for some furniture. Suddenly, a very strange energy signature flares up nearby. He looks out the window, An entire apartment building is blazing, and a player is definitely responsible. Can you believe his luck? He literally just moved in, and some flashy player is already outside turning his brand new neighborhood into a war zone. Then a heavy knock hits his door. Total panic sets in. Ren is the only person on Earth who knows this address. He slowly creeps over to check. When he pulls the door open, he is stunned to see local police officers outside. The cop orders him to evacuate immediately because that massive fire across the street is getting way out of control. Seowoon has no choice but to follow orders, secretly wondering who the hell started this massive mess. He joins the panicked crowd outside. Before he even blinks, the roaring flames double in absolute size. Suddenly, he senses 8 hidden presences. They are definitely hunting something down. Curiosity kicks in, and he decides to go investigate their mysterious target. Meanwhile, a girl is desperately fighting off a whole gang. Looks like she is a mage-type ability user. She screams at them to back off. She was just living a normal, quiet life before they showed up and started this fight. Watching safely from afar under his stealth cloak, Seowoon can easily tell the girl is running out of stamina. Suddenly, the goons rush her all at once. Even she knows her luck has completely run out right here. Right as they are about to strike, thick ice vines trap them. Seowoon casted, honestly surprised his ice lance works so well as a restraining move. The thugs whip around and demand to know who he is, but Seowoon just smirks. Yeah, they really do not need to know that. The guys instantly assume this random dude is her backup. So what do we think of this pathetic right? Seowoon agrees, calling them absolute cowards for jumping her. Alright, you and I are jumping right into the chaos. The team screams about an ambush trying to fight back, but Seowoon is already knocking them out cold. With bodies everywhere, the lady finally asks Seowoon which organization he actually works for, and Seowoon, he coldly tells her that it is none of her business. Suddenly, the remaining guys whip out weapons, lunging at them to finish the job. But instead of running away, the lady bravely decides to fight back. Seowoon is totally baffled. He went through all the trouble to create an escape route, and she just stays behind to fight. He straight up tells her that her situational awareness is complete trash regardless of how much experience she has. Ignoring him, she unleashes a massive fire attack, forcing the men to back off. But they quickly regroup. They warn her not to underestimate Stockpile, bragging that they have crushed way stronger players before. Too bad Seowoon steps in again. He teleports behind the sword guy, landing a punch so brutal it nearly caves his head in. The lady is left completely stunned. Who is this guy? Before she can even blink, Seowoon suddenly grabs her and drags her away before the enemy can recover. Once he is absolutely sure they lost their tail, Seowoon casually dumps her onto a random rooftop. She has been screaming the whole ride, and Seowoon finally snaps, telling her she is way too loud and annoying. Furious, she argues that carrying her like a sack of potatoes is incredibly rude and almost made her puke. Now pay attention here. She asks if he is from a different resistance group since she has never seen his face before. Seowoon bluntly says no. Suspicious, she immediately asks if he works for a private guild or a shady government agency. Again, just a flat no. But she refuses to believe him, especially since he was just destroying the very guys trying to capture him. Desperate for answers, she asks if there is some hidden secret organization out there. Seowoon insists he is just a normal guy passing by. When she keeps pushing, he tells her to count her blessings and lay low. He makes it crystal clear if this happens again, he is not playing hero. With that warning, he instantly vanishes. Honestly, Seowoon only stepped in because government agents seriously get on his nerves. Even so, he kicks himself wondering why he actually risked his own neck for a total stranger. He thinks it might be some dumb player kinship, or maybe he was subconsciously trying to act like a cheesy action hero. Moments later, Seowoon gets back home where Hammett teases him for being completely out of character and actually showing some mercy. Seowoon just shrugs, muttering that he hates guys in fancy suits. Suddenly, Ren calls in a panic about an explosion nearby, checking if he is safe. Seowoon says he is fine and casually explains the whole situation with the mysterious lady. Ren nervously asks if he actually got involved. When Seowoon says yes, Ren absolutely loses his mind, screaming about how reckless that was. Meanwhile, since Seowoon doesn't own a bed, he literally tears up tissues to sleep on the floor. He calmly tells Ren he originally planned to just watch, but seeing a whole squad gang up on one woman changed his mind. I know exactly what you are thinking, and Ren agrees. It is crazy coming from the guy who mercilessly sniped players in the game without a second thought. Seowoon argues that reality and the game are totally different. Panicking, Ren asks if they saw his face. Luckily, Seowoon confirms he was wearing his cloak of hiding. Ren warns him that private guilds are one thing, but if government agents start hunting him down, it is going to be game over. He begs Seowoon to be careful. Surprisingly, Seowoon agrees, admitting he does not want to lose his new house. Hanging up, Seowoon finally goes to sleep, making a mental note to buy an electric blanket first thing tomorrow. The very next day, Naru storms into the military hospital where all the guys Seowoon completely destroyed are recovering. The second she steps inside, the entire team panics. Furious, she immediately starts screaming, demanding to know what went wrong. Terrified, the team leader stammers that they were unexpectedly ambushed. Naruse totally loses it, screaming at him for launching a mission without informing her, especially since she is the department manager. She ruthlessly interrogates the guy, demanding to know exactly who authorized this disaster and who is taking the blame for the epic failure. She is about to explode when the general manager walks in, announcing that he gave the green light. Furious, Naruse demands to know what authority he had to approve a mission behind her back. The manager smoothly claims the intel came in extremely late, forcing their hand. Naruse immediately fires back, asking if he will take full responsibility for this massive failure. Smirking, the man assures her that it is already handled. He tells Naruse to relax, bragging that he has already smoothed everything over with the big bosses upstairs. So where does that leave you and me? Listening to this guy spout corporate trash about embracing failure, telling Naruse to basically get used to it. Let's jump right back in. The man tells the bruised operatives to heal up fast to support Naruse. After that incredibly annoying little speech, he orders Naruse to head out. Before leaving, she casually tells the team leader to drop his report once he is discharged. Fast forward a few days. Seowoon meets up with Ren, who immediately asks if anything weird happened since he saved that woman. Seowoon just sighs. Is this guy seriously here to lecture him? Ren claims he is just worried about Seowoon's reckless stunts, but honestly, while Ren is screaming, Seowoon is totally zoning out, staring at the guy's necklace and thinking about buying one. Snapping back, Seowoon mentions he went to the convenience store, and guess what? Government agents are swarming the whole area. But luckily, it looks like they still have zero clue who he is. Plus, he is pretty confident they are actually hunting down that lady he rescued, not him. His logic: hanging around the area is actually safer. Hiding in plain sight is the absolute best move right now. Now, pay attention here. Seowoon asks Ren what stockpile means since those operatives use the exact name. Ren shrugs it off. It is no big deal, just ordinary folks who get powers from items instead of actually awakening as players. They do not level up through the system, making it a pretty inefficient grind. Still, they are incredibly strong for normal humans. Suddenly, Seowoon's phone buzzes and he answers without even checking the caller ID. The guy on the other end absolutely screams into the mic, and Seowoon realizes it is his loudmouth friend Junpei. Junpei yells that tomorrow is Naoki's birthday. He rented out a whole spot and demands that they all go together. Right then it hits him. Seowoon has been so obsessed with Cloyd and the player stuff that he completely ghosted his real life. Seowoon admits he totally forgot. Junpei sighs, saying he almost waited until tomorrow to call but knew that would be a total disaster. So Junpei tells him to drop his address so he can swoop in and pick him up tomorrow. Seowoon groans, asking if he really has to go. Junpei admits Naoki is super annoying, but they still have to celebrate the guy. Seowoon tries to argue, but then Junpei drops a bomb. Mina is coming to the party too. Backstory time. Seowoon met Mina back in their first year of high school. They ran in the exact same friend group. Because of that, they naturally became pretty good friends. But Seowoon, he fell hard at first sight. He even begged his bros to help him get closer to her. We have all been there, right? He held it in for a year, finally confessed, and totally ruined everything. After that total disaster, Seowoon didn't see Mina for the rest of their second year. Hanging up the phone, Ren smirks and asks if Mina was his first true love. Seowoon looks disgusted, asking if Ren used magic to eavesdrop. But Ren just laughs out loud. The phone was just insanely loud. Seowoon mutters that it was not really love, just a brutal one-sided crush. After hearing about the terrible rejection, Ren confidently offers to teach him a flawless, guaranteed confession trick. Reluctantly, Seowoon decides to hear this guy out. Ren's master plan: do not give the girl a single second to overthink it. He claims the absolute most crucial step is striking out of nowhere at a completely unexpected moment. Seowoon blinks. Okay, and what exactly comes after that? Ren says you simply stare right into her eyes, confidently state that you like her, and boldly ask her to go out with you. Seowoon is baffled by how incredibly basic this advice is, but Ren swears it works like magic. He proudly declares that this is exactly how he secured all of his past relationships. Seowoon immediately ignores everything. There is absolutely no way his experiences match up with whatever Ren does. Walking away, Seowoon tells Ren to get home safe. Ren just chuckles, teasingly wishing him good luck with his confession. Bright and early the next day, Junpei pulls up. He is genuinely shocked to see Seowoon looking way sharper than the awkward nerd he remembers. Junpei is also completely mind-blown by the massive apartment. Seowoon plays it off, claiming he is just renting a room from an old-school buddy. Meanwhile, Seowoon is stunned to see his friend driving an actual car. That explains the ride offer. Junpei proudly reveals he saved up cash and took out a tiny loan just to buy this sweet ride. Seowoon laughs, pointing out he is probably the only guy their age actually buying a car with his own hard-earned money. Turns out Junpei skipped college for a job. It was brutal early on, but now he is chilling at a pretty stable mid-sized company. Hopping into the passenger seat, Seowoon asks where Naoki even booked the party. So what do you and I make of this setup? A high-end yakiniku spot. For a gift, Seowoon just shrugs. A simple gift card will do the trick. Shortly after, our guys pull up to the birthday spot. Alright, you and I are crashing this crazy expensive party right now. Seowoon asks who is paying, and Jun says Naoki is just flexing his daddy's cash. Walking inside, everyone instantly spots them loudly, calling them the classic Shame Brothers. Apparently, that lovely nickname is just a mashup of both their actual names. Someone asks Seowoon if he really finished his military service. He nods, simply saying he is just planning to head back to school. A guy taps his shoulder asking how he got so totally ripped. Seowoon casually brushes it off as just some very light daily exercise. Everyone is chilling until Naoki and Mina walk right in. Naoki immediately acts super cold, but Seowoon fires back in the best way possible. Seowoon completely ignores the dude, locking his eyes straight on Mina instead. This absolutely wrecks Naoki. He hates being totally ignored. Trying to smooth things over, Seowoon casually mentions he already sent a digital gift card for his big birthday party, but Naoki violently taps his shoulder bluntly, saying he does not need his cheap gift card. Naoki tells him to just sit down. Soon enough, the music turns up and everyone starts getting totally wasted. Seowoon suddenly realizes he has been so hyped on gaming that his real life feels like a blur. He knows Naoki is just a rich kid who invites him solely to show off his huge bank account. You and I know the truth. These snobs only invite him so they can feel way better about their own pathetic lives. Naoki soon steps out loudly, claiming he has an important call. A guy asks why Naoki and Mina arrive together. Someone whispers that Naoki is trying super hard to win her heart right now. Get this, Mina actually works for his dad. Some people think she is using Naoki for cash, while others seriously doubt she would do that. Jun starts teasing our boy, asking if he only came to see Mina tonight. But Seowoon shuts it down, saying that is old news. Honestly, he is just here because the premium meat tastes so dang good. Right then, Naoki pops back, smirking that this food is way out of Seowoon's broke budget. Leaning in, Naoki asks if he is bothered. Seowoon plays it super cool, saying he is just happy to see some familiar old faces tonight. Naoki tells him to smile because his gloomy vibe is killing the party. Seowoon mentally sighs at how annoying this guy still is. Acting fake, Naoki begs Seowoon to share his life problems so he can fix them. Playing along, Seowoon agrees that rich friends are great. He promises to hit Naoki up if he ever desperately needs a quick favor. Naoki pushes further, saying, "Do not hold back since living without money is a real struggle." Seowoon politely pours him a drink, but Naoki insults him, mocking his pouring style like he is just some cheap restaurant waiter. The trash talk continues. He praises Seowoon for knowing his absolute bottom place in society. "I know what you are thinking, it is payback time." Seowoon aggressively slams his cup down, telling this trash talker to seriously lay off the heavy alcohol. This completely sets Naoki off. Everyone scrambles to calm the rich kid down, but Seowoon stares right back, asking if they have a real problem here. Naoki brags that he has zero beef with a massive loser like Seowoon, adding that he should just act like the absolute failure he is. Inside his head, even Hammett is furious, begging Seowoon for permission to absolutely destroy this guy. But Seowoon stays dead silent, holding eye contact. The crowd blames Seowoon for the drama, grabbing Naoki to stop a full-blown fistfight. Naoki demands a pathetic apology, but Seowoon just stands up to leave, regretting he ever showed up to this lame party. He casually tells the whole room to keep having fun because he is officially out. Before walking out, he calls Naoki completely pathetic for flexing his money. That comment makes Naoki explode with pure blinding rage. Strolling down the street, Seowoon could not care less about the drama. He knows he will probably never see those toxic losers again. Right now, his only focus is getting ready for the next game. Meanwhile, Tatsuya and his dark organization finally get the report. They have tracked Seowoon down. Trust me, you are going to want to see this. Tatsuya stands up, ordering his entire crew to hunt down Seowoon right now.